I'm a minute late. Sorry, I'm a minute late. Can you hear me okay? I hear my microphone. I can see my microphone on my camera going like that, so fingers crossed you can hear me all right. I have some questions already that people have popped in. Well done to everyone for jumping in early and getting your questions in. Welcome everyone. Just make sure everything's working as we hopefully want, and hopefully you can hear me okay. Go on, give the, do me a favour, if you can hear me okay, give the live stream a thumbs up, and if you can, obviously YouTube likes it, so do I. I have my YTD, my YouTube drink down by the side of me, obviously, because depending on how long this one will be, not quite sure how long this one will be this week, because I'm Mark. Hi Jay, thumbs up here. That's Diego. So we've got a few people already on. Niels has been on and he's been keeping abreast of what exactly the timings are, because originally I was saying that it was going to be 7:30, but because of, well, being honest, getting busy doing certain things today, yeah, just things took longer than I would like. So, I mean, yeah, there's small updates as to what's been going on when it comes to me. Over the last week, I've been busy putting in a SLC pump stroke air conditioned unit. So, yeah, never done one of them before, so learning how that's done. But always good to learn new things. So, let's have a very, very quick look, if I can get it on the right screen, that is, as to how, go on, where's the pop-out dashboard? Is that the pop-out dashboard? Yeah, that's a pop-out dashboard, great. I just now need the OBS, flick over to the pop-out dashboard. There we go, hopefully we can win. Right, welcome everybody. So we've got some questions already, and we're going to be talking about the Masters. The Masters, it's the first major of the year, and I'm not quite sure if you can, I've got my microphone underneath my top again, so just in case there's any clipping, any guys of any muffling noises or anything else, I can take my hoodie off. Now I'm sporting the, as you can see, the Mizuno hoodie, but in the white. I am starting to actually fall in love with these hoodies. They are really ridiculously comfortable. I'm just not sure I can pluck up the courage as yet to wear them on the golf course, because I think I'd be escorted firmly off the premises should I wear something like this, because it is, it's not really golf attire at all, just because it's got Mizuno on it or Callaway on it, or whoever it will be, yeah, doing the old hoodies and stuff like that. I mean, other manufacturers make hoodies as well, but again, not for everybody. A Special K, organised chaos as per usual. Yes, it is, because unfortunately, when in a world of me and as busy as I am, unfortunately, yeah, it's like me juggling multiple balls. So let's go through the well, comments so far. There's some questions on there as well. I'll have to flick over possibly to that screen. There we go, because yeah, comments go through and I lose track of what I've said. So, Niels, hello, good morning, good night, good evening, and I think it's good afternoon, good evening anyway. I think you're 1 hour or so ahead of me, even though the clocks have all changed. Does it change for everybody? Or is it the UK only? Not sure. There you go, let's get that one out there to everybody. When the UK clocks go forward or back, does it go back for everybody? There you go. Don't know if they do or not. Charlie says, hi Jay, an opinion on the MC 20 MP20 HMBs would be great as thinking about picking up a set. Brilliant. So the MP20 HMBs, bear with. I like doing this as I'm doing it kind of fairly live-like. There we go, let's pick a 4-iron. Who uses a 4-iron? That needs a bit of a buff. There we go, back again. Oh, bear with me. Right. Cool, need a bit of a polish. It's always like. Anyway, there we go. So MP20 HMB, a lovely looking thing. And it is just a satin-ish version. It's a shiny satin. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's not chrome. Obviously, MPs are known for their chrome, and when it comes to the MP20, HMB was the original one, and obviously you've got the 225s now, but it still says HMB on the hosel. Now, these are a great set. When it comes to hollow body as such, they're not quite as full on hollow bodied as some other manufacturers, but effectively they are. They've got plenty of tungsten. It's mainly set more middle to it. It's not as aggressive heel toe weighting as say like an i525. But this is exceptionally good off low strikes, and with that tungsten really low down, it helps lift the ball up in the air, launch the ball up in the air. I mean, obviously you've got a 4-iron here. Who uses a 4-iron anymore? Or who should use a 4-iron anymore should be the title of it more than anything else. But yes, they're a great set. No different to an i525, a P790, anything such as that. They all kind of, manufacturers make hollow body designs and they all work slightly differently. So depending on your strike point, Charlie, yeah, I could give you probably a bit more information on which one to test if you know your delivery data and strike point as well. Neil says, LIV players are apparently not, have apparently not by some magic touch lost their ability to play golf. So that is fine, I guess. I still won't be watching. Golf with nothing on the line in a weird format is not for me. Well, do you know what? I mean, Neil's, as I assume a bit more of a purist point of view, which is absolutely fine. I agree when it comes to a purist. Okay, when it comes to it, when you go difference between match play and stroke play and all the different scrambles, Texas scrambles, there's so many different types of golf, and at one point, you never know, LIV Golf might coexist and live side by side with PGA Tour. I don't know. I mean, I think it's good, the fact that obviously we've got the conversation, we've got the discussion happening, absolutely, because obviously it keeps golf in the limelight. But yeah, Marcus says, hi Jay, thumbs up here, good. Go on, remember, get down there, just go on, give the old live stream a thumbs up if you could. That would mean a lot. Thank you very much. Renee Tvet Pedersen, hope I've done that justice, especially the middle name. Good evening, hope you are well. I am, Renee, very well, thank you very much. Been very, very busy this week, but thank you very, very much for popping on, saying hello. Lucky Harry, do you feel lucky? I know you don't usually like the 4-iron in the bag. Yep, I've got the 4-iron. I actually got my MP20 4-iron over there. I took it out the bag today. I was going to go have a few hits, and yeah, but that's staying out of the bag. Would it be advisable to do a JPX 93 Tour stroke forged mix, Gap 5 Tour and forged? So I've just got a message from the wife. Just thought I'd let you know, and you can't see that. Zoom in on it says hoodie and a very, very ugly being sick face. Is no accounting for taste, obviously. Hello, the wife. Hope you're well. Right, so when it comes to a JPX 93 Tour and forged mix, no different when you go into any kind of manufacturer, when you're going for a player's set to a player's forgiveness kind of set. You've got to be careful of lofts, because generally speaking, the player's forgiveness side of things are slightly stronger lofted. So as long as you can do the lofts sensibly and not bend them around too much. Now, the gaps are becoming much more aggressive as time goes on. This is with every manufacturer, not just Mizuno. I mean, obviously you've said about 923 Tour and Forge, so it's Mizuno, and I can give you my opinion on that. So you just have to be a bit more careful of how you blend them. And if you're someone who likes to be able to or bend them around and sort of deal with offset changes and stuff like that, by all means, float your boat, do that. Mizuno actually have a tool on their website. If you go to any of the JPX, any of the MP, scroll right down to the bottom and they have a select tool, you can actually select what kind of golf clubs you want, and they will do a generalized bending as to what lofts need to be at what point, depending on what your split of the set. It's a very, very good tool. Go on there and have a look. As a general rule though, when you're talking about a JPX 93 Tour, which is 7-iron at 34 degrees, and a JPX 93 Forge, which has a 7-iron at 30, we are talking about possibly down the realms of 2 7-irons or 2 6-irons, or whatever it be, wherever the break needs to be for you. Right, so Master Odie1, hi Jay, who are you rooting for? Well, I'll be honest, right? And I'm gonna probably have some haters here. By all means, get down in the comments and hate me if you wish. Goldfish has probably just retracted the message, so probably is already thought about what I'm saying. So I was actually hoping for a LIV golfer to win. Why? Because I wanted the golf world to literally stop turning for a few seconds on the basis of that happening. My watch is going off again. No, it's nothing to do. The wife has said, yeah, she just doesn't like the hoodie. But I've got the white one on rather than the darker one. I don't know if it makes a difference at all, but there you go. I actually quite like it, it's really comfy, but I won't play golf with it because it's just not right for golf. But yeah, so I was kind of hoping for a LIV golfer to win because of the sheer fact that everyone would go mental the fact that if a LIV golfer won. And they did really well. So what I will do, I'll just literally pop on the screen here. I just want to show you something. Obviously, there you go. So that was the leaderboard, and of course you've got in the dark black highlighted or low lighted, as you would call it, area, you have the LIV golfers. And if you look at it, I mean, obviously there was only 11 or so LIV golfers in the entire field, and so they've done really, really well. They have. I mean, you've got Mickelson. That last round of 7 under. Well, yeah, on the final day as well. Well done. Koepka. Yep, and then we've got some interesting things that happen with Koepka and his caddy. Yep, we won't say anything about the 5 thing. You can comment below should you wish, and I'll comment if anyone wants to talk about the 5 thing. And then obviously Mr. Patrick Reed tied 4th, the one that everybody loves to hate. But yeah, that's quite an interesting little box of joy when you come and looking at the leaderboard, because there you go. I don't think they've done actually bad whatsoever, considering obviously there was only 11 allowed, only a certain amount on the basis of their world ranking or previous world ranking points, which obviously there's this thing about they're not collecting, or that's a long drawn out story, but there you go. Right, so there we go. Neil says sound is fine, hoodie in the studio for comfort absolutely okay. Yeah, studio golf, the hoodie is fine. It's just I quite like it. I'm quite lucky because obviously different manufacturers have a different fit, and this normal for everything. No different to shoes. Shoes are possibly one of the most unique things in golf. That and gloves, that and golf gloves. Because you go to different manufacturers, say I'm a size 10, but if I go to different manufacturers of shoes and have a size 10, they all come in different widths, but their widths, even if it was a wide fit or a medium fit or a normal fit, doesn't matter what it be, they all come in different shapes. And it's like, well, hang on, I'm a 10. But in other ones, I'm changing around and I have to change widths and stuff. So when it comes to Mizuno clothes, they are a little bit more fitting. And because at the moment, I haven't got a massive spare tyre around my midriff, I can still kind of get away with it. I suppose as time goes on, if I was to start putting weight on around the middle as I age, I may have to look at a different design possibly, because generally, yeah, Mizuno clothes are quite fitting, of which I quite like at the moment, until I get old and heavy, and I might change my mind. Although the missus won't like that whatsoever. Although she does say every single time, if I get fatter, it makes her look thinner. And so, because obviously we're going on honeymoon soon, that's something she's trying to fatten me up. So it saves having to worry about it. Right, Don, hello Don, how are you? Hope you're well. Good evening, Jay. LIV Players did pretty well, they did. But still don't like the LIV format. It's not for everybody. I'm not a great fan of it myself, I just like the conversation. Barry Mason, good evening, good afternoon, good day, whichever one it is. No thanks, LIV. If more of them were honest about moving for the money or because they're faded entity, they'd get more sympathy. I mean, yeah, again, I don't understand the, Ken, if you're going to pull on heartstrings to say that I'm moving for whatever motives other than the fact that it's money, and the fact that, yeah, I mean, if you are a fading entity, then, and honestly you think that getting in the top 125 every single year is becoming the point of where it's not attainable anymore, and you can go over to get an early payday and a big payday, regardless of how long it lasts, why would you not? But yeah, just be honest about it. Absolutely. Renee says, to be honest, I have no problems with a competing live tour. No. The players sure have great ability and like golf both as entertainment-based and competition-based sports. They do. I mean, it's no different to any breakaway league. I mean, darts have had it. There's going to be football's had it kind of at one point. There's been so many that have had a somewhat breakaway understanding from things. So yeah, it's just different. Right, so we've got Don saying maybe Live Golf could take over Match Play World Championship. That's a good point. Or even change the format into Match Play, so PJ Stroke Play, Live Match Play. Possible, yeah. I mean, I've got my own view on Match Play. I don't really like Match Play too much. I mean, like Ryder Cup's the Ryder Cup, and we all like watching that. When it comes to President's Cup, we all kind of like watching that. But yeah, it's the majors, which everybody tunes into, and it's the Masters, obviously, and everyone likes watching the Masters. Well, most people do. Golfer says all players go through peaks and valleys. Can Jon Rahm stay on top with that violent swing? Yeah, I mean, he has got one heck of a rapid transition. I mean, okay, when people, I tell you what I'll do for fun, right? Let's go over to the, oh no, I don't want that showing. That's probably not a good idea showing that as well. Let's go transition over to here, and I'll move my chair, if I can, out the way. Yeah, there we go. Right, 4-iron, I'm not going to hit 4-iron though. Absolutely, definitely not going to hit 4-iron. But obviously, he has very much so. He's here, isn't he? He has got no. It's just ridiculous amount of power that boy has got in his body, just his arms, to be able to get it to a point there and then get it in and release as quick as it's just ridiculous. Now, yeah, I mean, it is a very, very violent move. I mean, yeah, I mean, for so much that people say within golf tuition, especially that how you require to be as smooth as possible in transition, be aware of your rhythm and stuff like that. I mean, Jon Rahm has a very, very aggressive swing, but I mean, it works for him. And who's to say anybody's wrong when golf is working as well? I mean, anyone who can win the Masters, anyone like that, you can't argue in any way, shape or form that what they're doing is in any way wrong whatsoever, because it obviously isn't. You can have a conversation about longevity, possibly, yeah, absolutely, but then there's many golfers that have weird and unique swings that you think, how's your back going to be 20 years down the line? Right, A Special K, Kieran. Hello Kieran, hope you're well. I struggle with the footwear being larger. Calvin Klein fits very well. Yes, it's very true, because A Special K, Kieran, is about 28 foot tall. I hope you don't mind me saying. You're a big boy, and oh, I got my, I don't know, golf club in the way of the camera. Yeah, so I can understand when you're talking about the spectrum of people, and either side of whatever the spectrum you are, whether you're small, whether you're massive, it is difficult sometimes to find a tyre that fits, and especially within the golf world. I mean, obviously everyone likes golf to be fairly neat and tidy and work smarts and stuff like that when you're playing, so yeah, it can sometimes be difficult. Goldfish, here we go. I live in a hoodie 7 months a year. Minnesota is winter and hot. Yes, it has. How is Minnesota at the moment? Is it still covered in about 9 feet of the blooming white stuff? I hope not. Ken L, hello Ken L. Looking at drivers, as you know, yes, notice you didn't post the Paradigm Triple Diamond review. Despite mentioning it in other yes, because I'll be honest, I haven't got round to doing it. I mean, it got to a point. I've still got it on the editing to do. It's just a case of, well, there was so many other things that well, there was stuff I had to do in my house. I had work to do in my house, because I do everything myself, because I'm just one of these weirdos that, rather than getting trades in, which is possibly it's the easiest way and it's the quickest way to do it, but I've got this thing that I love learning and I love doing things myself. And so yeah, I've like this week I've been doing air source heat pump and stuff like that, sitting up there at the moment. So anyone who knows about HVAC systems, etc., we can have a little chat about that if you would. But I will be posting it. I will be sticking it on there. It will be in the same format as the rest of the Paradigm X, and also the Triple Diamond. I mean, if we go by the triple diamond, if you look at it, I mean, that is just a beast. It really is. But you do have to have some speed to make it work. So spoiler alert when it comes to that video. Despite mentioning other paradigm views, and will you test the regular Stealth HD? I can do. I mean, I've got access to it if you wish. I've hit it. The interesting thing that I find with the Stealths is they're really good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is not a dig at TaylorMade at all. I mean, TaylorMade are a great company, not only for the fact that they are one of the best-selling manufacturers out there, so they must be doing obviously something right. Well, they've obviously got a very, very good marketing side of things, but every business and any business needs to have a brilliant marketing side of things to be able to obviously survive in the world. I don't really see that much difference between the Stealth and the Stealth 2. I don't. I mean, but then if you go down the Sim 2 up to the Stealth and Stealth 2 again, I don't really see. I see obviously a shift in the direction of how things go. But whilst you've still got the likes of the Titleist drivers, the TSRs, which are still running titanium heads and still being like really good. Yeah, okay, there we go. So Don said, had a howler of a round today, 18 holes, plus 28. Yep, Don, that would be a howler, depending on what your handicap is at current. If it is 18 or anything under 28, then I suppose you could be right. But then again, handicaps are really, or old school handicaps at least, they're only supposed to be really met every 2 or so, 1 to 2 times every 10 rounds. So, yeah. Right, Neil says, Rahm had a club foot as a kid. Did he? There you go. Part of the reason for his swing hampered in movement. That's a really interesting fact. Well done, Niels, on that one. I suppose, yeah, I mean, when you've got a biomechanical problem, you work your swing around the required issue at hand, and if that's what's caused it, then yeah, definitely. Renee says, FootJoy fix my complexes with shoes. Good, great fitting with a different width and length. Yes, they are very good for that. The soles are also different softness. Yeah, so when it comes to FootJoy, now FootJoy have the benefit of, because obviously they are a huge shoe manufacturer in that sense, they can afford to go mental at it. When you're talking about a lot of manufacturers which dabble in it, because they are not, oh, Goldfish has got HVAC on there. There we go. Yeah, I'll pop a question in a sec. But yeah, and they don't have the capacity to be able to make all different shapes and sizes. So if you're someone who fits naturally into, well, let's say Mizuno. Let's just pick on Mizuno because, yeah, they do one set. They do different sizes, obviously 10, 9.5, 9, 8.5, 8, that kind of idea, all different sizes, but they only make one width of shoe. And then when it comes to FootJoy, because of the volume of shoes that I mean, obviously the sales that FootJoy do compared is quite a lot. So they have the capacity to make different, and no different to when it comes to like Mizuno, when it comes to the amount of irons that they make. They make like 8 different ranges of irons within irons, 8 different models. That's so much because they sell so many irons, because they are so good when it comes to the irons. They can justify making more specific ones for this person, for that person, because they can justify doing it. Obviously, when it comes to clothes and apparel and just shoes, for example, we're no different to gloves, because you have different, there we go, there's different, some people have different lengths, fingers to palm, palm width, palm thickness. There's so many different things when it comes just to glove. Different manufacturers have different lengths of gloves, so some of them goes all the way down to there, some of them just barely cover. So yeah, there's so many different types. But best thing is, because obviously the fact there's so many different types, it doesn't mean that you're going to suit everyone's going to suit one. So just keep trying different manufacturers until you settle on one that you find fits the best, and stick with that. Absolutely. Minnesota says, Minnesota Goldfish says Minnesota has a rapid melting. We skip from 40s to up to 70. I mean, yeah, that's a change. That would be rapid melting. That'd be flooding soon. I went to HVAC school 35 years ago. What's your question? I might be able to give you a few ideas. No, it's just a case of, so the system that I've got is a mini split. It's not an R410 or an R32 refrigerant. It's actually a propane refrigerant, and the reason why it's a propane refrigerant is because you've got to be F-gas registered within the UK to install it. I am not obviously F-gas, and to save the classic person, oh, you shouldn't be doing that because you're not registered. Going by a propane route, you can do it yourself. You can charge it yourself and do stuff like that. The only thing I've got to do is vacuum the pipes, because I've got a 4.5 metre stretch between my indoor unit, which is just up there. Hopefully, because it's becoming summer soon, in the studio here, I want to be able to control the temperature. Now, in the winter time, we've just gone through, when it comes to my heater, which is down here, which churns away and chews through electricity like it's going out of fashion, I'm really hoping that by doing such, I can keep the cost of electricity obviously down, and also give myself the heating that I require, and then also the cooling, which soon, as it's outside now, it's 10 degrees outside now, 10 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, I haven't got a clue. But it's warming up, and I'm worried about trying to vent the heat from here. But so I've got to basically vacuum the pipes, hold a vacuum for 24 hours, 24 hours, see if it leaks off, and if it doesn't leak off, I can then, but I've got a hand pump rather than a proper thing, because there you go. Don says, my handicap is 10ish. Oh, so plus 28 is a pretty bad day. Yes, it is. Absolutely agree. Lots of bad luck, trees, water, but also had a bout of fats. But that's golf. Next week will be better. It will be. So, Don, I'll get onto this one. So, A Special K, hello, Kieran. So, the new TM Spider, and he's just donated £20. Kieran, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate when people donate. That means the world, because it's everyone has to listen to and watch adverts. It's a way of YouTube and irritates the living daylights out of me, but it's one of those things. When people do that, that's very, very kind. Thank you very much. So the new TM Spider with the sliding weights, game changer or gimmick? Well, no, actually, I think it could be a potential game changer for the right person. So the sliding weights there are effectively to change the center of mass, so the center of gravity. And so depending what kind of stroke you have, if you have a sliding door stroke where you have very much so a rotational swing, or you have a straight back and through swing, there obviously for different amounts. So by sliding the weight, you can potentially change, even if it was front to back or heel to toe, doesn't matter what it will be, because they have different, front and as in heel to toe will have a much bigger difference on release points and how the arc changes, because of how close the weight is, the center of mass, the center of gravity is close to the pivot point, which is effectively the shaft. Can make a huge difference, but then also make a big difference if it goes that way as well, because I won't bore you with that, but it can make a huge difference. So if individuals have problems with pulling something or keeping the blade too open, by moving the mass can make a huge difference in their ability to be able to hit their intended line. So obviously there's many things when it comes to putting, not just their ability to stroke, but is their ability to hit intended line. Is their line right, which is another question, but it's a good point. And I think it could be, Kieran, I honestly do. Obviously when it comes to that, get fit as always. I think you might need a little bit extra on the old classic 34-inch shaft, but again, who knows until you get custom fit. Don, hello Don. Don Geeks just donated €5.99. Thank you very, very kindly, Don. It's very much appreciated. Goldfish, Today Golfer from the UK reviewed all the game improvement irons. One standout was 11 golf manufacturer. I tell you what, that might be a really interesting test. The problem is I find with a lot of manufacturers, because of the way that I do I test, because I test quite, I wouldn't say scientifically, because obviously, I haven't got swing robot and stuff like that. I try and use me as the swing robot. No, but I test strike, and I test forgiveness, and I test things far more in depth than most do. And so my kind of review will be much more in depth about how it physically works, not just what the marketing says. And because of the way I do it, and because I don't just do an on-course review or a very, very quick whack, 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 this feels great, go buy one review, if it doesn't work for whatever reason, off certain parts of the face, or if it just doesn't work, it will be shown straight away. And it's one of those situations where I'm not purposely doing it, it's just I'm hitting it, and that's what the information comes out. It's no different to when it comes to the Stealth HD iron that wasn't really working very well out the middle at all. Just didn't really work out the middle, and I was thinking, why is it so low on its efficiency level? Why it's so poor at basically punching the ball out there when it comes to be a super game improvement iron? And it wasn't until you start testing the rest of the golf club, high toe, heel, low, that you realise that just how well they were doing outside of the middle. And so by them effectively, what I think they're trying to do is dumb the middle down. It brings the middle and the miss hits, the off centre hits, so close together that it becomes automatically one of the most forgiving golf clubs ever made. But yeah, so a lot of manufacturers do, with the stuff that I do, with the testing that I do, manufacturers volunteer. If they're going to volunteer to give me product, they have to be really very, very sure that their product is that good, because if not, unbeknown to me and not my fault whatsoever, if anything is not quite right, it gets found out straight away because of the kind of testing that I do. So it would be interesting to see if I reach out to them, if they would just give me a 7 iron. That's all it really needs to test. But yeah, so all hybrid from lob to 4 iron. The 7 iron had 7,000 spin. That was ridiculously accurate. Yeah, I'd love to physically test it. I'd love to test it off miss hits as well and see if they are. Can you get hold of 11 golf clubs, and are they available in the United States? Goldfish, I will try and find everything out for you, because obviously there's so much talked about these 11s, no different to Calex, and there's only direct to consumer DTC products about. It'd be interesting to see. Don says that for your house renovation. Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate it. I've got plenty still to do. I've got an ensuite. If anyone is local and knows how to tile really well, my wife, my lovely wife, is worrying that the ensuite is not going to get tiled and ready. And so, yeah, so I need to get that one sorted out ASAP. I mean, I can tile, but it just takes me ages, because obviously I don't do it every day. It's not something that I'm used to, and it's not something that I am, I mean, obviously the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the faster you get at it. And so, yeah, but yeah, thank you very much, Don. I appreciate it very much so. And I've just got the TrackMan data from the last fitting irons, so if you're interested, very much so. Yes, definitely. Goldfish says the 11 was the shortest of the clubs tested, so not a hot face. Goldfish, that could be a little bit of a misnomer, depending on, obviously, if you're talking about 7,000 spin. I'd like to see the physical data off it from ball speed, etc. It won't be the longest if you're talking about a 7,000 RPM ball data. Then just through spin rate alone, that will not be. There will definitely not be the longest on test. It will possibly be the most accurate on test because of the spin rate, but then again, I need to know strike data. I'd need to know what loft they've got for a 7 iron. Yeah, loads of many different things. Euro MC502s came out as the best, but if I don't improve my swing, I don't think I deserve my dream irons. What are your dream irons? Are they the Miuras, or they are something different? Not sure. Well, if you've got the case of the fats, so I think it was Don just saying before, wasn't it, about the case of the chunky monkeys. Yes, Don was saying he got chunky monkeys. So fats aren't a they're not a mystery on how they are made one of two ways. I tell you what, I'll go over to. Should I go over to the hitting area, and I'll just sort of like show you what I mean when it comes to where the fats go. I'll do that. Tell you what, let's go over to the hitting area, and I will. Yeah, not the Miuras. Yeah, okay, right. So let's go over to the hitting area, and I will show you what I mean. So, bear with me. Move the chair around that way. There we go. Doesn't matter what golf club, I'll just pick a golf club. It's irrelevant as to what golf club we are talking about. So we have in our little hitting area now, we've obviously got different cameras. We've got down the line, The reason I've put the camera down a little bit because I've got lights on now. I don't really want to sort of like blinding your eyes. But okay, so when it comes to fats and things, so you can see the floor here, and I will make sure I'll get back a little bit so you can see. I won't hit the wall or anything. I've got loads of room. Fats and thins are basically a very similar thing. They all come from a very similar mistake in your swing when it comes to two ways to hit a fat. So the classic, let's do the classic lateral way first. So if we got a low point, so if you imagine the golf club has a low point, and that low point is like a hula hoop. If you imagine the hula hoop's round, and of course you can manipulate that hula hoop where the lowest point of that hula hoop is, yeah, like there. We can go this way, we can sway if we want, and that moves our low point left and right. So of course we want to hit on the way down, yeah, we want to be able to hit ball, carry on through the dirt and go out through. So our hula hoop, I need to get one really, get like a bigger hula hoop. But we need to be able to have our hula hoop going this way, so our low point being past the ball. Now, if we don't do that, and we have our hula hoop goes back here, and so we're on our right leg, left leg, right leg, or okay, when it comes to left and right-handed, lead leg, trail leg, that kind of idea, you've got the idea. But yeah, on my lead leg, my left leg, what we need the weight going forward. If you have your weight going back and it stays there, your low point is going to be back here, and you've either got to miss the ground, come up and thin it, where a lot of people do, they top it and things like that, or you hit the ground, and that's no good for anyone. Or you don't have an issue whatsoever with your low point when it comes to you move your mass, you get to the top, you turn, and then you're moving the mass, that's brilliant. But you either drop, yeah, which then that low point, that hula hoop, drops into the ground now, and so you hit the ground early, you're still moving the mass and you should do it, and you've still got your low point going the right way. The problem is obviously you've lowered your low point, which has the effect of hitting the ground early. And the other one that you find a lot when it comes to wrist angles, people, so from the camera up in, well, yeah, whatever, top right hand camera, people have the lag. Oh, we love the L word. We'll call it the lag, yeah, retained angle. So you have the lag in your swing, and you come down, you get into this position here, and obviously you see all the good golfers, they get to there and they're releasing it. Yeah, that's all you see that on so modes of PGA Tour constantly. What a lot of people do, they get to the top of their backswing and they're already starting to get rid of the angles, and so by the time they get to here, they're already offloaded. Now, if you imagine, so from this angle here, you can see, I've got arm goes down that way, and then you've got this angle that goes out, and so you have a certain lie angle. The golf club is static, but a lot of people obviously deliver slightly high handle, and especially if you think that when you get rid of your angles early and straighten out, you've actually made the golf club longer, so your hula hoop, your arc has got longer, you can move in the right way. But if you get rid of your angles too early, you extend the length of your golf club. So if you, like for daftness, if you imagine, there's a fly in here, that's going to drive me insane. The distance between my shoulder and that golf club is this far, yeah? And so no different if you have it up in here, the distance is that. As soon as I get rid of my angles, look how long the distance has got. And so when you're talking about a swing which has constant change in angles with wrist angles, you get rid of your angles too early, you elongate the length of artificially the golf club, and you hit the ground early. There you go. Go on. Ta-da! Flick back over. Hope everyone enjoyed that little demonstration. Let's see what we got. So, here we go. Has that come through yet? Right, cool. Right. I'm having a little bit of a, on my, it's not coming out. There we go, it's updated, sorry. Abstract AV, hello. Cut my PX3 driver down to 44. Okay, that's from what I'm assuming something like 45.5. Possibly is 45.5 standard on PX2, is at 45 3/4, can't remember, doesn't matter. Finding middle much better, added weight D2, yes, because obviously as soon as you start cutting weight, 45, okay, so we're talking just an inch. Obviously an inch is enough to change swing weight, and swing weight is a measurement of how much the weight of the golf club means. I think it's something like, it's measured from something like 14 inches from where the grip holds to where the, yeah, there's a specific way of measuring swing weight. But as soon as you start hacking weight or length off the golf club, obviously the swing weight or the feeling of how heavy something is reduces. So you have to add head weight. The only problem with adding head weight to counter a reduced length of shaft is that adding head weight will then offend the shaft more. The head has more inertia, and so it will affect the bend profile of the shaft greater. So you do have to be a bit careful and conscious that when you start hacking away at shafts and stuff like that, that it will have a corresponding effect on weakening the shaft. So we've got, Don's just said, give me a good old thumbs up, €2.49 for a good old thumbs up demonstration. Thank you very, very much. Don Geeks, when you got mail. Okay, I'll look at that one later on. Thank you very much, Don. Appreciate it. So yeah, going to a 1 inch shorter shaft, if you don't do anything else, will make the swing weight lighter. If you add then weight to the head to make it back up to the original swing weight that it was, then you might find that your shaft will feel and play a little bit weaker than it previously did. 70 grand 3-wood shaft, but started slicing more, wondered how shortening affects the lie. Still carrying 240, no loss of distance. Okay, so you'll get no loss of distance because if you're hitting the middle better, even though you've lost an inch of, now an inch is not a lot. Now I was chatting with Andy, a friend from the range when I used to work there today, and we were talking about the influences on shaft, and it was like, I can remember, the reason why I can remember talking about this is that when Michael Newton, another YouTuber, reviewed the Mizuno STZ230, he commented about the fact that how short it was and how the shaft that is, and he wanted it in a longer shaft. Now he is a 6'4" or something, 6'5", I don't know, he's a big boy when it comes to, yeah. So I suppose I have a shorter shaft in mine. I have something like 44 inch in mine. So when it comes to 45s, I mean, I quite like the fact that Mizuno put 45 inch shafts in there, not 45 3/4, which most manufacturers do, because I feel like I'm about a mile away. But it was spoken about, like the fact there was a load of actual speed lost because of that inch that was not there. Now, actually, do you know what? I mean, it's not an inch. It was 45 inches to 45 3/4, which is the standard nowadays kind of size. So it's lost 3/4 of an inch. Now, if you actually look at the maths involved in centrifugal force, the distance that it would travel, if you were to try and move at the same speed and just increase the length of it, obviously centrifugally that head would move faster. It was something like a mile an hour. Like so ridiculously small, like 0.8 or something of a mile an hour. Let's call it a mile an hour, which in the best possible terms would equate to about 2.7 yards. So the difference that he was seeing of X amount was far more than the actual difference that the extra short amount of length of shaft would actually give. So, but it can be a huge thing. So obviously we're talking about human brain, we're talking about the feel, we're talking about how anything would, any kind of change in the feel of a certain golf club would change how you actually physically use it. So what he was saying is valid, absolutely, but when you look at the maths, the pure physics side of things, it didn't sort of stack up like for like to the numbers to what he was necessarily suggesting, just because it just doesn't. Right, I've got mail. I will have a look at Don's email when it comes to his fitting data, because that's quite interesting and I'm looking forward to seeing that. So thank you very much, Don, for the €2.49 thumbs up of the demonstration. But what was any of the things that I was saying there when it comes to how fats, etc. occur, did they ring any bells? Did anyone who else is watching, have they had the same and similar thing when it comes to their ground interaction, turf interaction issues, we'll call it? There we go, more, oh yeah, there we go. Don sent, hi Jay, I hope the link works. Would be interested what you think. Also did some shots with the wedges with exotic head shafts. Yeah, okay. The fitting was with 7 irons, warm up was 8 iron. Cool. Thank you very much. I'll have a look at that one, Don. I appreciate it. Yes, did ring a bell, Don. Good. That's the main thing. So if anyone else has got any other questions when it comes to the problems with swings and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to just give a quick demo by the side of me to show what people can do, what people are working on, what people can, yeah, when it comes to generalized misses. Abstract AV, yes, I think I drop when I shift weight to lead side, working on it though. So, okay, so when it comes to drop, I mean, there's a lot being said. I'll tell you what, again, let's go back over because I'll show you what I mean, because there's a lot talked about when it comes to what they call ground force. Now, one thing I would love, move the chair over here, out the way, kind of out the way anyway. Wrong golf club, don't want to use the 4-iron. I'm not using the 4-iron anyway. When it comes to ground force, so a lot of people will see, heck, Tiger Woods was made, okay, he was famous already, but the move that he did was made famous from Tiger Woods. As in the case, he would come up to his top position, wherever it be, and then he'd squat. Everyone was saying how he squats into the ground. And he wasn't doing it basically to purposely lose height. What he was doing, he was squatting into the ground so he could actually then push up with his lower half to try and then gain speed. So it's like a very, very simple thing. You can showcase what happens with ground effect just with your grip here. Really, really simple. So as you can see here, right, I've got a golf club, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it from here, yeah, to 90 degrees and let it go, yeah? And so it does that, and obviously resistance, friction will stop it from going. But yeah, if we go backwards and forth, we can keep it going backwards up here like this, right? Now, if I now, on the way down, if I lift the golf club up like that, you see how much it goes back up more. It adds more momentum to this normal rotating thing. So if you go like that and then you go up, see how much it goes up, up. And that's what ground force is. As you go along and you kind of press up, the handle comes up actually, yeah, as you're pressing up, and it flings the golf club out. So when it comes to the dropping, actually sometimes dropping is really, really good. It's just the problem you have with most amateurs, because they spend most of their day working and doing stuff that they have to do to live in this weird old world that we live in, and golf is their hobby. When we're talking about ground force and how much they can actually use the ground to get and gain speed, we are not talking about we're talking about PGA Tour players. They've got the muscles and they've got the strength to constantly do this day in, day out training of using ground force to press up at the right time. Most amateurs haven't got the ability to do that because they're just not strong enough. So they use ground force, try and use ground force, but they don't actually get up again in time, and they end up just hitting the ground and just having really just inconsistent hits because of the inability to be able to use that ground force idea correctly. Gav's in the house. Hello, Gavin. Is the Ping CB55 stiff driver shaft that they are putting in the 430 the same, the one they were putting in the 410? No, there's not. So as a general, so if you look at this thing, when it comes to the 410 and 425, there were slight differences, especially in the fairway wood and hybrid, but the driver, not so much. You could cross, we could flick around a black red, which was 410, and you could even do possibly a black and copper, which was the old 400. But if you had the loft, you know what I mean, loft adapter change, but it's that kind of idea. When it went over to 430, because the head weights have changed very, very slightly, the construction of the shafts have become slightly less counterbalanced. So effectively, the only golf shaft that a fitting centre has got a full AFS kit. And when I was at the range, when I was doing Ping properly, I had ridiculous sets of shafts. I had all different shafts in all different flexes. So I had the Tour, the 65 and the 75 in the reg stiff, extra stiff and soft reg. I had all the different flexes, all the different weights for all the different shafts for the Ultra and the 2 Tours. And also when it comes to the aftermarket ones like the CK, to name one, there was other ones as well. I can't remember off the top of my head now. But yeah, I had them all, and different lengths as well. So at my place at the range when I was doing that full time, the only way you could go and get a better Ping fit, and I'd put this out there to anyone in the UK, the only way that you could go to somewhere and get a better Ping fit when it comes to the available equipment for a Ping was go to Gainsborough, their main HQ. I made sure that in Bury Golf Range we had everything, ridiculous amounts of detail, because I think, well, I thought personally when I was fitting I needed to make sure that I was giving every single possible option, and I didn't want to leave any cards on the table as such. And again, when it comes to people that are paying me for a fitting experience, I wanted to make sure I was giving value for money, absolutely. So yes, you can't change, you can't just swap a 410 for 430. It will have differing effects, and again, the only one that any fitting centre can keep from the old shafts is the, I believe, the Tour Chrome, the old Tour Chrome, because it plays very much so like the new Tour Black. But obviously it'd be different colours and stuff like that, but I mean, yeah, it's, so effectively they're all different. Perry saying, working on dropping but falling to rise up during the downswing with my junior daughter. Working on dropping but failing to rise up during the downswing with my junior daughter. Yeah, thanks for the tip, no problem. Yeah, again, if you're not pushing up in time, it's the actual handle. If you look at impact, how it should work, it shouldn't work like forward like that. The actual handle comes up and left for a right-handed golfer. It actually comes up and in, which flings the head out. That's how it physically should work. Don, I think I do move to the left enough, or I collapse my right leg, hip kind of leaning back. Again, that's the same thing. If you imagine your whole swing is an elaborate hula hoop, it's just a round circle. Well, it's not quite round, but I mean, obviously, it's not round at all. But from a point of view of everyone understanding a hula hoop, everyone can understand hula, because a hula hoop's got a bit where it touches the ground. It's got a low point, and you can interact with that hula hoop different ways. You can sway it, and also you can move it up and down, which has the effect of obviously dropping it through the floor and stuff like that. So Gav says, I thought so. My 430 feels different to my 410. Well, the interesting thing, Gav, is the fact it would feel different depending on what the fitting was, but the whole idea of the 430 heads changing and therefore requiring a slightly different shaft makeup, because through counterbalancing and stuff like that, is if they're going to make the head slightly heavy, you need a slightly less counterbalanced shaft. But the whole package, we'll call it, should balance. And so if you were to be fitted like for like, yes, it'd be a different shaft. It might be a slightly different head, but yeah. The feel of it when it comes to the actual balance of the golf club shouldn't be far off. What the biggest difference is in feel between the 430 and the 410 is sound. That's the big difference between acoustic noise that the 430 makes. And especially if we're talking LS Tech, the LS version of the 430 is a mighty beast, and it would, if I had to obviously use a driver, any other driver than I currently use, I think I would use a 430 LS because of just how stable it is and just how good it is generally. And it sounds much better now, so much better now with that carbon wrap around, that carbon fly wrap. Yeah, it's just brilliant. And it's also a mental thing. On the mat, the contact is great. On the course, I get sometimes a bad swing thought. Yeah, it's an interesting thing when it comes to playing golf, is the fact that so many people have swing thoughts when they play golf, and they shouldn't. The whole idea, I've always thought this, when it comes to any kind of lesson, if you have a lesson, yeah, and you discover a certain thing, whatever it be, you're doing something wrong. You find what you're doing wrong and you put something into practice which exaggerates that feeling going the other way, and effectively you come out of the lesson, if anything, doing the opposite slightly more as a wrong. But the whole idea of when you have IC as a lesson, you learn the exaggerate the other way. So let's just imagine, let's just go back to the old thing again, drawing board. Let's go back over here, because I will show you what I mean. And it's my view. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is my view. And I've had great success doing it. So let's just imagine flow from this camera down the line. Yeah, that one down there. Right, when you're going back, and the classic thing you see is a lot of people going this way, didn't you? The classic sliding, swinging, whoa, over the top sliceroos that we have, right? So everyone wants to get rid of their slice. Now the whole idea, obviously, if we're going over here, their shoulders move this way rather than this way. We get that conversation and stuff like that. But I find just trying to get someone's swing in one lesson to a point of where they're from going 10 across, yeah, to get them going 0. Well, do you know what happens after a lesson? They come out of after a lesson, and what you find is they'll go home and they'll have tea with the family and stuff, and they'll go to bed, whatever it be, wake up next morning, and they'll go to work. And they go to work, and it might be 3 days before they actually get a chance to go back down to the driving range to practice what they've just learned 3 days ago in the lesson they had. So what you're finding every single time you learn something, right, it's like a sieve or like a drop of dye in water. It's diluting. Every second it's starting to dilute. And the problem with that is the feeling that you learned in your lesson is slowly dwindling away. So if you're going in your lesson, going from over the top and coming this way, and then you go through that lesson of trying to get you to 0, by the time you get to practice it, that feeling that the coach has taught you to do this, do that, well, you're still going to be going across because that feeling has dwindled away. So I'm a great fan of this. And so from down the line camera, you can see, I get the people that go across this way. This is so common, it's ridiculous, it's common. But I like getting people to get to a point where at the end of the lesson, they're hooking it. So they actually understand the difference between a path going across this way and the face naturally staying open to try and cut it back that they do subconsciously. To a point of where they're talking about keeping their back to target as much as they can do. Their arms are coming down here, yeah, and they're swinging out this way and releasing the hands. Let the hands release naturally through. So by the time they go home that evening and they speak to the wife and say, oh, how'd your lesson go? Oh, I was really, really positive. If anything, I'm going the other way now, kind of conversation. Go to bed, wake up next morning, go to work. 3 days later, they come down to that same driving range to do their practice, and all that dye is starting to bleed out. That knowledge is starting to sieve out naturally. Well, they're now getting to a point of actually, rather than hooking it, they're now closer to middle. They're closer to 0 because their baseline has now been changed to much closer to 0. Rather than getting them 0 to start with, which is great if you can, but you find out when it comes to physical checking on them every single time, their performance, always, you go to the next lesson and they're still doing the old thing. Not as badly, but they're still doing the same problem. No, exaggerate it. Get it going massively the other way because it will naturally then come closer to baseline. Much easier and quicker than doing it that way. Here we go. I just noticed here, Niels, thank you very, very much. 40 of your finest Danish kroner you have kindly donated. It is so appreciated. Thank you very, very much. And Abstract AV has just popped up with a £4.99 donation for what I can only perceive to be mouthwash. It's a YT do. Talking about what YouTube drink, I need a YouTube drink. That's the problem with talking constantly. Flick over. Yeah, it's a problem with talking constantly. You need a constant drink, and if not, I'll be like coughing and spluttering. Abstract AV says here, any tips for hitting my JPX Fly High 4 Hybrid low? Even off the deck, it's high. Gets murdered into the wind. 4-iron, can't get it up. And the wife has just said to me, don't forget the blue bin. Isn't the blue bin Wednesday, bank holiday? If she's watching the live stream, I've just asked her a question. Recycling bins, you know, see? This is what, she's away for a week, having a holiday. Poor old me, still working. Sob, smallest violin ever. Right, the JPX4 Fly High. I will, I'll tell you what, yes. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's flick over. So, this way? Yeah, that way, that'll do. Right. JPX4 Fly High, you say? Well, okay, I've got a 5 here, so that'll have to do. Yeah, agree, that thing there, but says 5, yours will say 4. So the question was, let's make sure I get it right. I want to make sure I get the question right because obviously I don't want to show you, I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Bum bum bum. Let me go down here. Any tips for hitting my fly high for hybrid low? Lower. Yeah? Okay. Cool. Low. Right. You know what I was saying earlier on about hula hoop? All comes back down to the hula hoop thing. So, your hula hoop. When you try, I manipulate my hula hoop, we'll call it, ball position effectively. Now I will move my ball position slightly further forward or slightly further back, dependent on what requirement I have for flight. Now, if I want to hit one low, I'll tell you what, bad idea, I'll put quad on. Can't see it because I need to actually stick the FSX software on. Not quite sure I can do that at the moment with streaming at the same time, it doesn't matter, right? So anyway, when you're hitting a normal shot, so you have a normal interaction with the ground, whatever it be, a couple of degrees down and stuff like that, because you should always hit down when there's a ball on the floor. You should always be hitting down, never hit up when the ball's on the deck. When you're hitting low shots, when you're trying to hit specifically low shots, now I will put the ball further back, so I will just move the ball back here so you can possibly see it. You can see that on the in the camera, in that camera there. So I'm looking at, so from a normal 7-iron, my 7-iron position is basically middle, maybe I have like half a ball or so forward, but it's effectively middle. And then I will manipulate that. So if I want to hit the same 7-iron, but I want to move it, I'll go slightly higher, I will move the ball position one ball up, higher up, further forward in my stance. The reason I do that is because if you imagine, when it comes to this arc that we have, this hula hoop, the more you hit down, yeah, the less loft you deliver relative to the ground, yeah? And then of course, as soon as you get up and through, you're hitting up, but then you got more loft delivered. It's as simple as like this, yeah, or you go, there we go, like that, and it's like, when you're here, you got less loft. When you're here, you've got more loft, that kind of idea. That's a simple thing. And so I put the golf ball back in my stance, sometimes two balls. Because if I'm gonna hit like low shots, one, I'm gonna put the golf ball further back. Two, I'm gonna keep my weight more firmly on my left-hand side to start with. Now, normally I am 50-50-ish. So when I'm standing normally, if I'm imagining this as a 7-iron, I am 50-50. And then I'll kind of stay 50-50 as I turn back, no real, but then I'm pushing weight forward. When it comes to a low shot, one, the ball goes back straight away. And depending on how low I want to hit it, it'll go back either one ball or two ball back. So uber low is two balls and just normal low is one. And then what I will do, ball position goes further back. So opposite now my kind of shoulder, yeah, rather than being effectively here, is now I'm ahead of it, yeah, target's this side. And then I will keep my weight on my left-hand side and I will make a concerted effort to push more weight on my left-hand side, yeah, to try and get it even earlier in the arc when but I am gonna be hitting down more. That's gonna be like a given. But you're gonna display less loft. Now, you do have to be wary of certain things depending on your shot shape. You are going to have, when you hit certain shots like that, in different parts of your arc, your low point, is you will have a tendency to hit different shots. Now, if you're someone who hits fairly 0-0, yeah, straight shots, when you start moving balls back, you might draw it more. Because obviously your swing is not just a vertical up and down like this, it's a horizontal swing as well, but in a compound motion. So when you change your ball position, you're always changing path as well as angle of attack. So you have to experiment with it. And then that will change if you're someone who swings slightly across, it will all change. So you do have to experiment, but the initial things I would say, get that ball further back. Now, depending on what your current position is, I don't know what your current position is when it comes to a 4 hybrid. If it's further forward anyway, that's going to promote a higher shot. The more you hit it up, or as in the ball position goes up, you're going to hit it later on in the arc before it starts going up, which also is going to show, excuse me, YouTube Winnie Pops, more loft. So yeah, just try that. I mean, what I used to do this, and I used to do this for fun before we go back. I've got a 7-iron in my hands here, a 34-degree 7-iron, right? And the whole idea initially was I wanted to hit some shots where you kind of get an idea of what it's like to start with. Yeah. And you go there and you think, I'm launching at 18.4 degrees, no worries. And then you go, right, my job now is to try and hit this same 7-iron lower. So same ball position, but I'm now trying to actively move my weight a bit more this way. And it's now gone to 14.6. You say, well, okay, without moving ball position, I've actively moved my body more forward to cover it a bit more, and I've now knocked some height off it. So let's go ball position, 1 ball back. And then you do your normal swing, but 1 ball back. 14.9, well, that's interesting, no worries. You're learning, you're picking up a database, and obviously you're seeing flights rather than just being into a screen. Then what you do is you put ball position 2 balls back, and then you dominate more weight on this side and see what difference it makes then. 10.1. So you can see there, you can change, you can see my, there, you can change different parts, move around combinations of both to have a dramatic effect on launch. Right, let's go back over to the screen. Right. Oh, let's make sure I haven't missed anybody, because I'm terrible for chatting away in the background. Yeah. So Don says, or I was rushing, didn't warm up, driving was great. Short game and putting fine, but irons pretty bad. Yeah, ground interaction. If you're hitting the odd occasional fat and stuff like that, that's going to make a huge difference, because obviously you can talk about face rotations and everything. Don says, my coach records a couple of points on TrackMan after a lesson, and I use those when I go to the driving range. If that works, absolutely fine. No problem with that whatsoever. Everyone's different, and if recording points works as a point for you to, you understand and how you like process stuff in your head, absolutely wonderful. Kieran says, A Special K says, that sensor knife chucking out to the right still feels weird, however it's working. Yes, because if you remember, obviously Kieran comes from a point where he goes slightly across, and so and fades the golf ball, becomes a little bit inefficient, because rather than going and doing that, he's kind of like doing that to a ball. And especially when we're talking about speed and stuff like that, the slower you are, the more, so this is when you talk about senior golfers, the slower you are, the far more important it is to make sure you're as efficient as possible, because you haven't got speed to waste. And so if you're slowing down with speed, because obviously through age, one thing, if you're not connecting the golf ball smack on there and you're kind of glancing it because you've got a face open to a path across and all this lot, then yeah, you're just going to make golf really difficult for yourself. Don't keep YouTube drink, yeah, thumbs up. It's here. I'll be having another one in a minute. Mr. Mumble, hello. Was waiting for that YouTube drink. Yes, it is here. And Kieran says, bank holes day late for bins. Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking it normally says on here, I've got it on my phone, it said it on there for the blue bin, but I think it's going to be 1 day late. See, we all talk about refuse stuff. Abstract Avi, I have the 5.2. Great, because they're brilliant things. The fly highs, and I don't understand why more manufacturers don't make things like that, because effectively the fly highs are a hybrid head on the shaft of a 5-iron or a 4-iron, or whatever it be. So you've got the control of an iron shaft with a hybrid head. Yeah. Elaine, hello S, and $5 donation. Thank you very, very kindly, Elaine. It is very, very much appreciated. Hi Jay, Stealth 2 driver head, Ventus TR6X, war, mid-size grip, swing weight D2. Best way to bring it to D5. 6 gram tip weight, or is it too much weight in the hosel? 6 weight, tip weight you could do it. You could possibly with the self-driver, is that the standard or the plus? Because I mean, I don't know if you can get those adjustable weights, as in the case of different weight packs for them. I'm not quite sure if you can or can't. But yeah, the ideal thing would be to just add a little bit of weight to the head. I mean, it's not going to need obviously huge amounts because it's going to be right on the end of the head. But it will have an effect on your Ventus TR6X. It won't play like a 6X if you're moving it from a D2 to a D5. So just be wary when you're doing it. I mean, what I would be interested to do is I'd much rather keep the weight, if I can do, where it's supposed to be in the head, rather than the tip. But I mean, if you can't change the weight of the head because of the weight you can't change, then that is your next and probably best option. And if you like your mid-size grip, you can reduce the grip weight by going to a standard grip. That will have less mass on the grip, which will effectively then make the head feel a little bit heavier as well. But if you like your mid-size grip, keep with that and then just adjust the weight of their head. Gav says, did the Cardinal sin and just bought a new Ping G437 wood without being fit for it and haven't hit it yet. Same setup as my 5 wood, bit of an impulse buy, is fine. Generally speaking, if you, and this is a general rule when it comes to fairway woods alone, and to a certain extent hybrids as well. But if you have an already successful custom fit for clubs that you already have, and you find a requirement to put in, say, a 4 hybrid or a 7 wood or whatever the golf club will be, if you've already had that custom fit for the next one up or next one down wood and you're really happy with it, as a general rule, you are not too far off buying the next one along as an impulse buy off a deal or anything else like that. If you're going to move category, then definitely yes, I would look at getting custom fit again. But if you were going to go for a 3 wood to a 5 wood or a 5 wood to a 7 wood, a 4 hybrid to a 3 hybrid, yeah, I think you're going to be fairly okay to do that impulse buy and it'd be fairly close. Adjustable weights, I have the most available, can't add more that way. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain, unfortunately. So yeah, tip weight would be the only option really, unfortunately. Spike, hey brother, and other nuts. Hello buddy, I hope you're well. It's always nice to have you on here. Sean Vetter at AskGolfNut. I see people say things like I spin the ball too much, or I have too much weight or too much height with irons. In my experience, most people don't do that. So what kind of swing causes this? Right, okay, a lot of people say this when it comes to a lot of people, and this is a generalization, so this is stereotypically, this is not the same for everybody and not the same for everybody, but it's a case of, I've seen this with so many people when it comes to just having sessions, and they say that I hit the golf ball really high. Just my mates say that I just hit the ball really high. It goes to the moon. I hit it so high, I'm surprised it hasn't got snow on it when it comes down. That kind of chat, right? So when it comes to people that perceive that, because a lot of the time they have a path going across, face going open, they deliver a lot of loft. So what they're seeing is not actual peak height, not excessive peak height. What they're actually seeing is excessive launch because of the amount of loft that they deliver. Now, because it's loft deliver and they have a glancing blow, they see the golf ball going up at a ridiculously high rate of knots when it comes to their launch angle, and they perceive that as very high. Effectively what it is very weak. It is very weak, it is very wafty, it's a puffy kind of flight, it's nothing. And yes, they do hit it high, but not high, they just seem as though they hit it high. When you actually start changing their dynamics and you give them a much more of a that hit rather than a that hit, they actually start hitting it higher. But not because they're launching it high, they're actually launching it lower, but because they're so much more efficient now, they're getting so much more ball speed from their original swing speed. They're not changing the swing speed, it's the same swing speed. But because they're producing slightly less loft, they're actually launching the golf ball lower, but they're producing a much, much more efficient and effective hit, which means there's more ball speed. So it actually stays on that slightly lower launch angle for longer, straighter, and it actually goes higher. And it goes longer than their previous shots. Now they perceive to start, because it's launching lower, that it's not going as high. And it's obviously not until you measure it and stuff like that, you actually say, do you know what, actually you're 3 yards higher than you were before, but you're now gain of 28 yards because you're not doing this anymore. We've got you doing this. It's a huge difference, it really is. And so spin the ball too much, that, hit the golf ball too high, that, yeah. There you go, that's the whole idea. So, Abstract AV says, as a fly hose, a normal iron length, love them. Straight as club in the bag, yes. Struggle with other graphite irons. Cool tips, bro. No problem whatsoever. Always happy to help. Spike says, tested a Mizuno Senior Shaft 7 wood this week. Oh my. Please divulge your oh my, and yeah, more detail, please. I'll be interested to hear. Abstract says, yeah, you go, Gav. We'll all do it. Good idea. John Walsh, hello John, hope you're well. Nice to have you on. I've got to make sure I don't move the chair because if not I'll go out of focus with focal depth and stuff like that. John says, have you ever played Purdes Heath Golf Club? If so, any tips? No, I haven't actually. One of the golf clubs I haven't played. It's something, to be fair, unfortunately I didn't get to play as much as I would like. I've got a 9-hole golf course close to me, Flemington Golf Club. I had a conversation with the general manager there and about possibly doing filming over there, which will be really, really good. Now, when it comes to my local golf club over at Thetford, they're a little bit picky when it comes to me doing filming. So, yeah, politics. So when it comes to going over there, it'll be, and now it enabled me to just continue doing what I would like to do. And I would like to do some on-course stuff because there is some stuff that you can quite easily do on course, which is good stuff to do on course. But when it comes to like scientific-based understanding of what a golf club will do, won't do, you can't really do that on the golf course. There's so many different variables on the golf course which I cannot control. That yeah, that's how I would like to. So anyway. Gav said, thanks Jay, but when I was talking about the setup of the new 7, I was referring to my stance and hitting positions. Sorry mate, that's fine, that's no worries. What was your original question, Gav, so I can just go back to, talked about the ping, difference on there. Oh, did the cars on sit, okay. Yeah, I mean, again, you can't go wrong when it comes to that one, mate, really can't. Right, so go back. Gary Much, you did message something and you, oh yeah, Gary says, heard you mention something earlier about shafts and different models. Yes, I did. Hi Jay, a bit late to the party. Always welcome, Gary, no problem about being that. And just catching up, I bought a G430 hybrid, but I've put my Acra shaft from my old G410 4 hybrid in it. Seems to be working good, but was wondering your thoughts. Absolutely none then in that case, Gary, because obviously everyone's different. As a general, when it comes to the fitting carts, because of the shafts have changed, because of the heads weights have changed, then no one can obviously keep the same shafts that they did have before in the new fitting kit. So Ping have basically wiped the board, and the only one that you can keep is the chromed Tor shaft, because that bend profile wise is very, very similar to the now Tor black shaft. The only thing is obviously the difference in colour, but all the rest of the shafts have now been changed, so all slightly different bend profiles. However, that being said, we all are all human, and if Gary, you're getting on well with that, then no one can say you're wrong. If you are loving it, keep loving it, and it's working brilliantly, great. Obviously, that's not something that in a custom fit you'd potentially be able to overly test, but the fact that it works, great, absolutely. I mean, that's all I care about. When people make a purchase or whatever, obviously it's a 200 and something pound purchase when it comes to a hybrid. They need to make sure that it works, and if it works, I'm over the moon for people. Spike says, I hit the 7 wood off the mat to within 10 yards of my drives. I think the face angle is part of it. Still, for some reason, off a tee, I'm at a loss to understand. Now, Spike, I'm pretty certain. We were talking about before that I've got your information, haven't I? And it was. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. I don't know if I can. There you go. Oh, are we talking about? No, that's grips and stuff like that. Well, I'm trying to look for. Because there was some information that you sent me, wasn't there, about. Or someone did. Yeah, it's just when it comes to the difference between 7 woods and drivers, right? And this is the classic thing. It doesn't change. We're not having the conversation the difference between, say, my watch is going off again. Most people say when we're talking about this conversation, they're saying, my 3 wood goes as long as my driver, or my 5 wood goes as long as my driver. Why is that? That's not right. The classic thing is, well, my 5 wood goes as long as my driver. Can I use the 3 wood? Well, no, because it doesn't work that way. But so the reason, excuse me, windy pops. Eric, different loft options available for ping, irons, power spec, standard and retro lofts. Are they manufactured with the different lofts, or does ping just bend them? Eric, very, very quickly answered that one. They just bend them. There are no different heads like other manufacturers make, specifically different heads with different swing or head weights, etc. So Mizuno will run two different head weights because obviously lengths of shafts, lengths of shafts, and so they'll need them. Slightly different head weights, but ping, no. When you're talking about power specking and stuff like that, they will bend them and loft and lie because of that little notch at the back, and they're able to bend the living bejesus out of things, which is just the amazing thing of a ping. And most of them, what they did have what they call CTP ports, so basically tuning of the weight, etc. They've got that now, but they do it in a little kind of screw where they inject tungsten lumps and stuff in there to try and do all the weighting, etc. But yes, effectively, it's the same head. So when it comes to a 7-wood conversation, we've literally just had them there before. When you're talking about limited speed, a lot of people don't play the driver that they need to when it comes to limited speed, so they're already not in a position where they're using or utilizing the driver to its most effective specifications. So a lot of people don't use enough loft when it comes to reduced speed. That's first of all. So launch is key when it comes to a drive going long. If you haven't got, when it comes to initial launch, you're knackered. You're not going to get the golf ball up. Now you can take loft off as much as you want and get more of a bludgeoned hit, but if you haven't got the swing speed really to get that lower launch angle going and the gravity just takes effect, hits the ground, that's no good for anybody. So absolute key is make sure you have enough loft on your driver. That is the biggest difference. When it comes to a 7-wood, for example, or a 5-wood, no different. Why are they getting very, very comparable distances with their 7-wood or 5-wood to their drivers? Because that's got more loft to start with. And so of course they are launching it, and because of the shaft lengths aren't massively that much difference, you've still got a decent amount of head speed, which then will be translated into a half decent amount of ball speed, and next thing you know, you've got the advantage of getting very, very close to your driver. A lot of people, if they were just to go get the right fitted driver, they would automatically then hit it further again. So yeah. It's not until you go really slow on the swing speeds where you actually start saying that actually your driver is not functional. You have got to go to a ladies lofted driver, which is like 13.5 plus, to get the most out of driver. And then yes, never have a 3-wood. You don't have enough speed to keep it off the deck and stuff like get it off the deck and get it launching. So, and you just run, that is what your distance is. It's just bounce, bounce and roll. Well, that's going to change depending on what the ground conditions are and time of year, etc. Very unpredictable. Gary says the shaft costs quite a bit, that's why I tried it, but should I shorten it to same length as a shaft that came with it, or if so, what differences would that probably make? Gary, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it's doing exactly what you want it to do when it comes to your setup that you've got, absolutely keep it. It's doing it. If you're talking about a gapping issue, if you're talking about the fact that it's just going too far, remember you've got your loft adjustments on there, and with the loft adjustments, yes, it is a cambered loft adapter, so there will be a change in face angles, etc. So you'll have to do, remember you've got flat settings as well on the back, you'll have to do some testing when it comes to how far they go with different loft sleeves. If we are talking something distinctly too much than what the loft gaps will do, then taking some length off will help, especially if obviously it's going too far. But then obviously you will change things around a little bit. Taking length off, you'll change the swing weight of it, then you'll have to add a little bit of weight to the head as well. It gets quite complicated, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. So unless there's an issue, I wouldn't go hunting for an answer. Adam, hello Adam, I hope you're well. It's always good to have you on. I used to move a Penley driver shaft around from head to head, and it always worked for me. Switched to Aventus Black this year and love that a little more. Sometimes you get lucky. You are right. So if you imagine when it comes to golfers and you've got that, so let's go flick over to the screen so I can actually see what. So you've got that over there you go. That's your spectrum. That's the golfers from all the way this way to all the way that way, right? And that's what you've got to play with. You don't know where you are within that spectrum. You are somewhere within that. And your shaft choice that you buy off eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or you just get off your mate, that will fit somewhere within that. And you are, say, there. Now, if you get a shaft, or you get a shaft from eBay, which is there, well, that's one mighty difference, and you are not going to get on that one whatsoever. However, if you are there, and you just happen to buy that shaft, which is around there anyway, you've lucked it. Now, okay, to get it perfect, you talk about a 1 in 10,000 chance to get it perfect. But in golf, you haven't got to get it perfect. Because we're talking, when you're talking about like hyper successful golfers, yes, you do have to get it closer. When it comes to a amateur golfer, which you're talking about swing changes and stuff like that, which is always fluctuating a little bit, what you're looking at is to get them as close as they can do to the middle part of either way they separate, because they're going to move. They deviate a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit left. So you're trying to get somewhere in the middle, and so they're equally amount out every single time, because we're just talking about human beings, unfortunately. Right, dun 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 dun. Let's go over to, I can get over to this one now. Right, my son, Spike says, my son joked, what clubs does dad hit to 150? Almost all of them. That's funny, I like that. That is funny. Abstract AV, have you ever tested PXG drivers against Mizuno or Ping? I did test the original ones many moons ago when it comes to PXG. Haven't tested anything fairly recently when it comes to the PXG. Obviously tested the Mizuno and the Ping. But if you are going to be thinking of forgiveness, and again, I'll be honest, as I always am, you're going to be blooming difficult when it comes to beating a Ping for forgiveness. They are that ridiculously good. And so, if I had to choose on forgiveness alone, I would choose the Ping. Les Moore, hello Les, hope you're well. Really enjoy your content on TaylorMade Stealth 2 HD. Glad you did, thank you very much for watching. Was wondering if you have ever tried the 11 hybrid irons. No, I haven't, and it's something that I had a conversation right at the very start of the live stream about 11. A comparison on who is more forgiving would be great. It's an interesting one on forgiveness. I would say if you're talking about consistency of forgiveness against off-center and middle strikes, I would definitely say the Stealth 2 HD, because of the unique way that TaylorMade has made the Stealth 2 HD. They've made it not very punchy out the middle. It is not the longest golf club at all when it comes to out the middle. But by dumbing the middle down, and again, I have no actual physical evidence of what I've just said there, based only on what I have found through countless tests now. Every single time I hit it, it just reinforces the exact same finding that I had from day one, which is what they're doing is they're trying to dumb the middle down purposely, so you're not hitting it as far as you would do if you hit it with a normal stealth iron. But because the outsides will always be less forgiving or less ball speed orientated than the middle, by dumbing the middle down, they can make the outside as forgiving as they possibly can do, and that brings it in line much more with a middle hit. And so instantly, okay, the golf club's not going massively long, or the golf ball's not going massively long, it's not a huge distance orientated machine, but it is one heck of a consistent, well, bat. And so in that sense, you'll be hard pressed to buy anything which is more forgiving in that sense than a Stealth 2 HD. There is a different thing when it comes to obviously 11 now. I need to reach out to them to see if they will give me a media sample. I only need a 7-iron really, because I can test it against all other 7-irons, etc. But obviously not all manufacturers want to give media samples to a channel such as mine, which critiques everything quite scientifically. Now obviously I'm not a swing robot, and it'd be really great if I was a swing robot. I try to do my best I possibly can do. However, when it comes to the kind of testing that I do, because it is very scientific based, it's done on measured parts of the face of where I've been hit, and then obviously reading measured drop-offs from certain things. Golf manufacturers have to be fairly confident in their own product to give equipment to channels like mine, that if there are any issues whatsoever with a head, it gets shown up straight away. And so yeah, it's Gary says, cheers Joe, I test it alongside my new Stealth 7 wood I've been fitted for and get my gapping sorted before I start tinkering. Great live again as always. It's always a pleasure, Gary. I'm glad I was of help. Abstract AV says, what's your personal, maybe longest driver you've ever owned? What's my longest driver? As in length, as in the shaft length, or are we talking just total distance and stuff? Now, YTD, you to drink. With me constantly talking. Yeah, right. What's my longest driver? Well, okay, so technically, total distance, boom baby, Abstract AV says. Right, so technically, the longest driver I have hit ever was my Ping G30 LS Tech. However, those, they're not quite right. I hit that on the flat at 340 something. Now, the reason, okay, that was at a time when I was swinging faster than I am capable of now, because I'm getting older and I don't go to the gym like I did before, and because I'm just too busy and I've got stuff to do. Now, my normal speed's around about 110 and 111. 113, 114 is easily doable when it comes to speed if I want to dial it up a little bit, but gone are the days where I can pack it into 120, 121s, 122s. So even though the Ping G30 LS Tech, it still holds my record for the longest on the flat drive. Possibly modern day drivers, possibly the STG, 220 STG was the longest driver that I've used. It's a bit unforgiving because of its low spin profile, so you can actually get the loft up a little bit on it and lower, get all that spin, get those weights rammed to the front, and you do get a very low spinning, high launching flight, which is ridiculously long for the speed that I have now. But it's just a little bit too, if I'm not quite on it, it could go, yeah, like that. So going to the STZ 230 is a much better balance of spin and also speed. So yeah, that's the way I'm going at the moment. Right, just checked with my driver loft is typo. Just checked my driver loft is typo. Total distance, yeah, okay, so just checked my driver loft is 9 degrees. I think I'd be better adjust it up by a degree or two, possibly, John. So we need to measure what your launch conditions are, what your spin rate is, what speed you have, and stuff like that. So at 9 degrees, you could still, if you've got a, again, when I talk about this, it's one of those things where without knowing how much dynamic loft someone actually physically delivers, it's really difficult to say you should be not using the 9 degree driver at a certain speed. But I mean, you could argue that if your swing speed is less than, say, high 90s, as a general rule, you shouldn't be using a 9 degree driver, and something with more loft would work. But again, everyone delivers slightly different, slightly different amounts of loft, slightly more, slightly less. Angles of attack change as well. So, I mean, that's, again, so yeah. So, how often do you get to play golf nowadays, Gary? You would not, I am that busy, you would not believe how ridiculously low the amounts of time I actually physically get to play golf. No, so if we're talking about play golf, just go out there and have fun, just enjoy yourself, fun, hardly ever, because I am always busy. Don says, great live stream, Jay, as always, but have to go. It's all right, Don, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you very, very kindly for your kind donations. It has been an absolute, just joy having everybody on, especially when people like Don here. 748, I think it equates to. Thank you very much, Don. I very much do appreciate it. It always means a lot when people donate. Being a part of the channel and also the live stream. So now, when it comes to it, normal service is resumed. When it comes to this week, I'll be back on. I'm just now editing the i230 versus P770. Hopefully I might be able to get that one up tomorrow. That one might be a longer one. That might be a a slightly longer two-part one. Just the way it goes sometimes, hitting different shots and then obviously critiquing certain parts. Sometimes it just takes longer than others to do different videos. So as a general rule, I would like to try and keep the videos around about the high 20, or so the mid to low 20-minute mark. Anything that goes up into the half an hours, possibly, I will split it into two, and I'll do a specific looks and feel side of things, where we look at the technology, look at the looks of the golf club, and then obviously look at how it hits when it comes to, we're in the hitting area, giving sort of live feedback as to what it's like when you hit it, and you obviously see shots onto the green and see how they both work. And then when it comes to the forgiveness side and the performance side, where then we look at the actual physically, how do the two golf clubs match up, and how does the performance match up when it comes to their forgiveness levels as well, putting them two together and see which one wins. So I think that's what's going to happen for tomorrow, because I think the video's already, without doing some crazy amount of chopping around on the editing. Yeah. So Les Moore saying, Alabama, really appreciate your efforts and content. Well, if the whole of Alabama was to join in and view, I would be greatly appreciated. But no, Les, I appreciate your sentiments as always. John Addison says, great, Jay, great channel. I try. Info fantastic, club testing amazing. How much time do you invest in the mental side of the game? As our 15th club is our mind and it plays every shot. Your brain is by far, John, the most important club of the bag. Well, it's not technically 15th club, but it's the one club which swings all the clubs every time. And so your brain is by far the single most important part of the whole process. So I'm quite lucky with the mental side of things, because I'm fairly mentally resilient. I am very, my wife nicknames me Data, as in like the Star Trek thing, because the android, because I just don't react to things, and I'm fairly laid back with stuff, and so it makes no difference to me if I hit a good shot. But of course it makes a difference to me, and I always like to be able to hit a really good shot. Everyone does, but again, I'm one of these people that I will get more frustrated about a poor strike than I will do about a poor face to path relationship. If I strike it well but leave the face open, I don't really, it's one of those things. But if I strike it poorly, then yeah, generally speaking, I'm not a great fan of that. But when you're looking at your brain by far is, people talk about swing, we talk about equipment, we talk constantly about the differences between this iron, that iron, this driver, that driver, what this will do, what that won't do. We talk about game fixes when we're just saying about the difference between angles of attack and stuff like that. But really, your analysis of a golf shot comes way before you actually pull the 7-iron out the bag to hit. I'm within reason, I'm walking up to the golf ball and I'm 30 yards away walking up to it, and I'm scouting around, looking at the tree line, I'm seeing where the wind is. As I'm walking along, I'm seeing the lay of the land. Excuse me, YouTube cough. I'm looking at the line as I walk up to it. All of these initial pictures I'm getting of how's it going to affect the flight in my head that I want this golf ball to. Where's the pin? Reference to the green and all this lot. What's the distance? And there's so many aspects to it that your brain should do is a natural routine. And this is the thing, most people, the higher handicaps especially, have a very, very poor pre-shot routine. They don't have this constant thing that they do as a matter of course, a matter of discipline. They just go through dun 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 dun. It just like churns through. Most people you'll see when it comes to doing their swings, they'll when they're doing the practice swings, they have this methodical way of doing their practicing because they've just been taught that within their lesson. But they've completely forgot about all the other factors they have to think about prior to actually physically hitting it. And how many times have you seen people hit really good shots but they're short because they haven't factored in something really simple like a headwind? But you see it every day. Right. Spike says, get me that address please, or I'll drink it myself and send it to the... Right, hang on. Right, let's do it now. If I can find, let's go back over to here. Let's go over here. No, over this one, thank you. Spike, I will pop it in there now. Hang on, I will do it. Don's just popped up on there. let's get to you. So doing this on the fly now. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I've got to find now. I've got so many emails, it's ridiculous. A lot of them are stuff that I really, yeah. Right. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Right, so I will now copy. There we go. And Spike, you tell me, I will just now send you an email. Very, very quickly. So it'll be very, very quick. So apologise for the, obviously not very, I normally say a lot more when it comes to an email. I hope that, so I will literally send it through now, and I apologise for the fact I normally like to write a little bit more of a hi, how you doing, thank you very much for this and stuff like that. It's obviously I'm doing it from the live stream, so I've literally just wrote my address and sent it through. So thank you very much for that. I mean, that's an amazing thing, and it's really very, very kind of you and quite amusing at the same time. Gary says, any updates on the pay for access, as I was late joking. I was late joining in tonight. So when it comes to the memberships thing, I've been putting this out to people, and different people have been giving me putting their 2 pence worth. I don't know what the 2 cents worth when it comes to America and stuff like that. And so what I was thinking about doing would be this. For all the people, and I'll do this on a couple of live streams, probably this one and the next one, just to give adequate chance for people to put their options in. Now, the problem with doing memberships at the moment is making sure that you get a certain number which is reasonable for everybody. Now, I've thought about doing tiers. The problem about doing tiers then is it kind of disservices certain people and stuff like that. So it'd be what I'm looking at trying to do. I'm getting many different numbers that are being as a consensus of what people see as right. So it would be great if people could put down in the comments as what they would perceive to be a membership and a sensible number, if for them. And I will then look at all the information and then try and do something to try as best I can do to accommodate everybody. Because that's the whole idea. I don't want anyone to feel left out whatsoever. I mean, just the AskGolfNut community, when it comes to doing this, we are all, every single person, with the odd exception, will be exceptionally respectful, exceptionally helpful. I mean, just at the moment, like today, my phone goes off every single time I receive a comment, and sometimes I look at it on my watch, or I'll just have my phone, it will come up. And I don't obviously get a chance to reply to every single one right at the very, all that's like, it's not as easy as people think. But there's been conversations that people have been having between themselves on the end of a thread of a comment which someone posed, and just having that helps people. People have a question, then someone else who's had the exact same thing went for a fit in and they have their 2 pence worth, and they have a little conversation about it's brilliant. And because of the fact that I am very particular in how I want the community of the AskGolfNut community to continue, I don't want people that are just going to shout and swear. This is not going to be a Facebook forum of where anyone can just get away with saying whatever the heck they want and start moaning at people and calling people ridiculously childish names and stuff like that. Doesn't help anybody. So generally speaking, 99.9% of the people, and the 0.1 or 0.01 dependent on how frequent it is, I will moderate and I will remove them effectively, because I'm not interested in people that are just gonna, yeah. So yeah, pop down in the comments of different videos or different anything, whatever's the easiest one for you, as to say what you would see as a reasonable number per month as a membership. Because yeah, when it comes to live streams especially, my idea would be to do once a month live stream for everybody. But then when it comes to members, do a singular live stream every single week. When it comes to videos, there's potentially that I could do early access, possibly. Membership, I could do every single person who's a member. I will priority reply to their comments always, regardless of how busy I am. And then also for the higher pay rate ones that want to pay that much or deem that to be much, whether it be an individual personal relationship when it comes to helping out with their golf game or their equipment, anything technical or something like that, and that could be like a physical time thing that them and myself have. So yeah, that's just that's an idea. Spike says, got it, box coming. Ah, Spike, you are a diamond. Oh, that's very, very kind of you, and I will have a little wee chuckle if and that one comes through. That's brilliant. Right, Jerry says, hi Jay, recently at the Mizuno HL and didn't hit it higher than my Jack lofted Mavericks, but did hit it in the same distance for some reason. There was a couple of 100 revs more. Be interesting to see. So Jerry, I'm assuming did you have your fitting done using technology, using something like a GC Quad, for example, which is that thing down there, with measured, so what I effectively mean, see, knocking stuff over. You see dots, there we go, see dots on face? That's what you need measured dots on the face. They will help obviously track every single thing that you're doing within the swings that you hit, and so when it comes to a question mark of why am I hitting one the same as something else, or should I be hitting them this and everything else like that, there should be no question, because the fitter should make it clear to you why certain things are not happening, and not just say for saying sake. They need to be far more descriptive and far more educational in how they deliver that information, so you understand. Because a fitting is obviously a fitting, as obviously you give a chance for you to hit different golf clubs and see which ones you like and stuff like that. But it's also a huge learning opportunity which people really aren't taking advantage of, because generally speaking, I'll be honest, fitters don't want to give you certain information because it doesn't fit the narrative of the sale. Being frank. Well, you can call me whatever you want, to be fair, but you can call me whatever name. Right. Right, so we've got Abstract AV says, sounds like what social media was supposed to be, sharing of ideas and experiences, arose to most of it now, which is a data collecting exercise. I am looking forward to how this evolves and taking part. Yeah, sounds like, I'll make sure I've read that correctly. Goldfish says, maybe grandfathering viewers as members that have been here a long time. Admittedly, I have too many favourite YouTubers. Becoming a member to all of them would be more than my cable bill. Yeah, it would. And this is my concern about things. My problem about, as AskGolfNut becomes more popular, and it is, I'm getting far more comments, and I prided myself in the past of being able to be involved with the people which are commenting and involving themselves within my content, albeit obviously in comments and stuff like that, but I find it really difficult now to even come close to be able to reply to the comments that people kindly write. And I do feel that sometimes I'm disservicing people, and without being able to sort of keep track of who my regular people are and do this and do that, and like it's so difficult that by doing it in a way that Gary's literally just put an eye down there. A few people do it, and I use their tier. I use the tier system. Start at £1.99, level 2 £5.99, level 3 £9.99 would be worth an idea. Could do upload clips, etc. for the higher level. Go for it. Would love to be a part of it. So yeah, that's an option. But I wanted to make sure that the people which are contributing to my channel and putting the time and effort into involving themselves within the AskGolfNut community, I want to make sure that I give them back as much as I can as well. And so having a membership system will enable me to know straight away, that person's a member, they've just commented, I have to make sure I give them the time to answer back to something that they've just literally written. So I can't physically do that if I haven't got a spreadsheet of who's, you know what I mean? So doing it in a certain way is a good idea. Doing it in a certain way which pees people off is not a good idea. And so it has to be done in a respectful way and done in a proper way. But yeah, Gary's idea there is not a bad idea whatsoever. I did have an idea about doing one, the top tier system when it comes to people that want my time, whether it be just a monthly chat about certain things or whether it be putting a higher number, I don't know. But yeah. Kieran says, A Special K, Kieran says, where to get a putter fitting J? It's a really, really good point. Because where to get a putter fitting which is not a selling opportunity, effectively, or someone just basically trying to sell you something. What is that? Oh, no, it's not. It's Ladybird. Hang on, bear with. I want to put my thing back there. Can I get the Ladybird? Oh, I've dropped it. I noticed something was flying around earlier. I thought it was a fly. No, Ladybird. Ladybug. What do you want to call it? So when it comes to putter fittings, it's difficult because it's even more difficult than what you would say as an iron fitting. Where do you go to for a decent, objective, non-commission-based, honest club fitting? Very, very difficult. And putting becomes even harder. I would, if it was me, I would actually go and see a putting coach, as in a specific putting coach, like James Jankowski or something like that. JJ Golf Putting, I think he is on Instagram. He is really, really good. He's very, very good in what he does. And he sees things from both sides. He sees things from the coaching side and also from the putting side. So what I like about him and how he does certain things is much more of an understanding of, he will obviously fit you for a putter if you need it. If he sees that what you've got really is not much an issue, and you are by far the biggest issue when it comes to your putting, he will be honest and tell you, and he will go through that down the line, rather than try and sell you something which you still can't use after you've bought it. So yeah, but you are talking about a higher echelon fit. That's the only thing. Going somewhere like that, you're guaranteeing to get objectivity and fairness and honesty and stuff like that, but you are talking about a slightly higher price point, which is a bit of a pain. But then again, I suppose if you're going to spend a couple of £100 on a putter and stuff like that, I'd much rather know that my putter that I've got is actually not what the problem is. It's actually not too bad whatsoever. But the session that I had was actually ended up being a change of my stroke, which has made all the difference. When that's worth it, that's got to be worth more than a £200 putter that doesn't do anything different to the previous one, which was about 50p or whatever. So yeah. Jerry says, believe it or not, the fitter told me to stay with my Mavericks. He tried several other irons and shafts and felt he couldn't justify selling me a new set. Do you know what, Jerry? You want to shout out to that guy, because that guy is fairly Kieran, yeah, if you could message me in the morning, if you can message me, or give me a ring tomorrow at one point, yeah, just so you can remind me. Now, if I'm filming, I will ignore it, and don't feel that I'm ignoring it. I am ignoring you, but I'm filming, so yeah, I won't. But I will get, as soon as I'll get to it, and I'll give you JJ's contact details if I can. So yeah, so when it comes to those Maverick, that's a brilliant thing. So Jerry, I'm really happy that you went and got a fitting where the fitter there was honest. Yeah, it's not, I'll be honest, it is not a regular thing. If people want your time, they need to pay for it. £20, £30, £40 is doable, but small steps and build slowly and see what the market needs. I get the point that you want to keep everyone happy, but not enough. Yeah, you can't keep everyone happy. This is the only thing. I try as best I can do. I'm the type of person that I probably give too much time to people as a general rule when it comes to my lessons and custom fits that I especially have done in the past. Timekeeping was my worst thing. So I used to have to always put in 15-minute buffers in between, and more often than not, I was using the 15-minute buffers constantly, because generally speaking, when it comes to the amount of money that I charge, I can't really do too much on that. But what I can do is just, if I can get away with it, give them a fraction more time for free, effectively. So there's generally a few different ways to skin a cat in that sense. And Gary says, hours in their day, I would suggest. I find myself at the moment burning candles at both ends, doing certain things, and especially now when filming, I've got to go over to Flemington Golf Club tomorrow and go grab a couple of golf clubs, because I didn't get a chance to review the Titleist TSR drivers before they were needed and stuff for custom fitting, etc. So I'm going to need to go over there and go grab them again and get them done. I've also got jobs that I need to do at my home, and when it comes to painting of things, and I've got a self-level of floor as well. It's only a small cloakroom bathroom, so it's only 2 and a bit square meters or whatever it be. So it's only a very small cloakroom bathroom. Never YouTube drink required. I'm going to cough if not. There we go. Never self-leveled a floor before. It can't be hard though, can it? So yeah. It's just what I mean. There's so many things I've got to do. And I've got my normal stuff that I need to do with golf and stuff like that as well. So I'm burning candles at many different ends. Neil saying, yes, TSR dryer review. I was hitting my STZ230 today, and I'll be honest, the more I'm getting used to hitting that with the whole shaft in it, the green hazardous, it's just such a good driver. It really is. It is definitely, I can understand why Mizuno are putting this as a 2-year life cycle. The money that they've put into drivers, woods basically, but drivers especially, over the last 5 years is ridiculous. And you could see the little steps they were taking, and they were changing this and trying to understand this and doing something, understanding that, but then by understanding a certain thing, they would then compensating something else, and they've been working their way through all the way from the ST. Well, it started in like the ST 180 and GT and stuff like that. It changed loads, but now to the ST 230. Wow, yeah, it's a really good driver. It's one of the very few drivers that I feel I can move any which way. I can high draw, I can low draw, I can high fade, I can hit a straight shot, I can low straight. Just good, really is. Excuse me, when he pops. Goldfish says, how difficult can it be to level a floor that levels itself? It's a very good point. Now, apparently with self-leveler, it doesn't level itself, actually. The fact that you've then got to trowel it out, and then you've got to use a spiked roller to take the air bubbles out and also help distribute it evenly. And I'm thinking, I thought that's what water does, doesn't it? But it's not water, that's the thing. It's still got, obviously it's cement, but it's still got tension. It's got a certain amount of surface tension, so it doesn't just float out. It still has like little lumps and stuff, so you have to, yeah. That's why I don't even understand when they call it self-leveler. Doesn't do much self-leveling. It levels, but you've got to input into it. But yeah, there you go. Spike says, make sure you have enough material for floor. Tape where you don't want it. Easy. Yes, I need to do that. I ain't got no holes or anything else like that I'm just going to keep pouring it into. But yeah, where the door thresholds and stuff like that, I'll need to make sure. I'll just put a little piece of trim or something down where the threshold will be. But yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. And I've got to continue doing my air-source heat pump and AC unit. Got to pull a vacuum on the lines. And once I've pulled a vacuum on the lines and it holds pressure, or no pressure as such for 12 to 24 hours or so. I know there's no leaks within the line, and then I can basically discharge the refrigerant from the outside unit into the internal unit, which is above here. And because it's a split system, not a internal system, I haven't got that constant noise that you'd get with an internal thing, so it won't stop me from filming and stuff even though the blower is going. That's the hope anyway. But it's a 12,000 BTU thing, so it's quite a decent size thing, but yeah. Right, Spike says, try a dab of Dawn dish washing, what? Try a dab of Dawn dish washing lights too. Try a dab of Dawn dish washing lights too. Now, I mean, I'm confused. Try a dab of, if I read that 17 more times, I won't understand what that means. Neil says, I'm spinning drivers high, was fitting into Etic Sub-Zero. When that originally came, yeah, got fit into a triple diamond, triple Ds. 9 degree this week, also spin too high. How is STZ for spin? No, you're still going to get it. It's a mid to low spin. You're going to have to wait for the G. That's not coming out, is coming out, not's coming out, is coming out, not's coming out, is coming out. Well, there you go. Do you still do fittings and lessons? I can make the trip down from Bonnie, Scotland. Be a fine jolly. Yes, I do. I don't do fittings so much at the moment. The problem is, and I'll be honest, and I'll say this, I don't mind who's listening on this. I'd love to do fittings again. Let's moderate that a little bit. I'd love to continue doing fittings nowhere near as much as I was before. I was busy constantly with fittings and lessons and stuff like that. It's not what I want to do. The reason why I've stepped back to, well, concentrate on YouTube is to concentrate on YouTube. I don't want to get back into the pattern of what I was before. I was going boom, 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 and that's why I didn't do anything for YouTube for like 8 months. Not a single post, not a single anything in 8 months, because I was just so mentally busy. Now, I want to, Gary, just do me a favour. If you were to email me, AskGolfNut, easy one, @gmail.com, just email me through that and we'll have a conversation. Yeah, or find me on Instagram, message me through that. That's a nice, easy way. Yeah, just do that. We'll chat off of this, but from a point of view of the reason why I don't do fittings as much at the moment is because where I am attached to at the Golfers Lounge in Bury St Edmunds, which is an indoor facility. Now, when I was at the Bury Golf Range, I had a bit more free range to do what the heck I wanted. And because Andy, who was the business owner, is a good friend of mine, he trusted me implicitly. He put a lot of money into buying extra equipment to make sure every single fitting that I did it on the understanding that I had all the equipment that I had as impossible to test. All the different shafts, all the different flexes, all the different weights, all the different ones at different lengths. And the same goes for 3-woods, for 5-woods, for hybrids as well. I bought in he bought in extra shafts when it comes to ping. So you have your normal AFS, your advanced fitting system, but then you have your standard fitters pack, then your premium fitters pack. But those premium fitters pack that you have to spend like £5,000 on a pre-book to get that, you still don't get all the shafts that they offer. So we then had to go buy extra ones to make sure we've got all the fitting options that Ping have, for instance, so you can test them. You can give that to someone. I'm using Swing DNA regardless of what manufacturer I'll fit for, the shaft analyzing tool, so we can understand the bend profile requirement of the individual. And then it's just so frustrating when you get to a point of when you haven't got the right shaft in a Ping, but you have the Mizuno, because Mizuno give you every single shaft regardless. Other manufacturers don't, but we did at the range because we bought them in, and so we could. Okay, you fit into a 120X. Well, we don't have a 120X when it comes to a Ping. They only give us the 120 stiff. No, they don't. Well, they do now. Well, they don't. But we bought it in. So you have got that option. I can't do that anymore because it's really frustrating. And I have this mental block about you paying me to have a fitting for, say, someone like a Ping, when I honestly do not believe that I can give the value for money which I used to be able to give, because I just haven't got the equipment that I used to have to physically test with. Now, Mizuno, yes I have. I've got a full complement of Mizuno stuff, and anyone wants a fitting with Mizuno, contact me, no problem whatsoever. Irons, we're talking irons only, we're not talking anything else, because unfortunately as soon as you start talking about heads and stuff like that when it comes to woods, you're relying again on the classic thing of making sure people buy in every single head. And remember, when it comes to Mizuno, you've got two different heads at the moment. Okay, you've got the super lightweight one, but not really. Let's just talk about the Z and the X, or Z and the X. But you've got then different lofts in there as well, and because they range in different amounts, you do need different amount, and then all the shafts. Yeah, that's my rant over, but that's a little bit of what's going on in the background. Spike says, oh Gary, thank you very much. Just noticed £1.99. Very appreciate that. It is much appreciated. Thank you. But yeah, Gary, sent you that. I will email you, get in touch through Instagram. I know what you mean, though. Big cost to do fittings. Be good to get lesson and advice. So you're more than welcome. And well, yeah, reach out through Instagram or email. Instagram possibly better, I suppose. And then we can either do a very, very quick video call and have a little quick chat and get an understanding there. And yeah, there's so many different ways. Jess says, hello Jess. Hey Jay, hope you are doing well. I am. I'm busy as always, but I'm doing well. I decided to go with Mizuno JPX 923 Forged. Yeah, I wanted to get your feedback now that you have been testing them more. How is that actually on distance consistency? Well, as with any kind of golf club, generally speaking, the biggest inconsistent part is the person who swings it. But when you're talking about just face consistency, you're delivering decent delivery numbers, we call it path and face, and we're just talking about slight strike differences. And so by moving around the face, you'll have a potential for launch and spin variances on different parts of the face. And so effectively, the Forged, the JPX 923 Forged, being frank and honest, it's a marginal increase over 921. It is okay. Yes, it is a increase over. It's slightly better. Is it an upgrade? It's slightly better than a 921, but it's marginal. It's not like a 923 Tour, which is a nice jump in feel on because of the copper underlay. That is definitely a jump. When it comes to the hot metals, the JPX series, the new JPX hot metals, they are like raw. They are rocket ships, and they feel really well, really good as well, because of how they've constructed them with the ribs and all that lot, just to control sound. So they've made something which is ridiculously just springy off the face, and it's fairly forgiving as well. I have to say, it's probably up there when it comes to one of the most forgiving irons when it comes to game improvement ones. But it sounds really good as well. So when I say sounds really good, what I mean is it sounds really good to my ears. I'm an MP player. I'm a blade player. I love the sound of softness, and so when it comes to a game improvement iron or a battering ram, as some are, I don't like them because they just make a heck of a firecracker going off, and it's like, no, I don't like it. Some people will love it though, and for those, actually a JPX 923 hot metal, they want to have an explosive pop. Well, that's subjective, and yeah, so. But yeah, but they're absolutely fine, absolutely fine. The 921 Forged were really very, very good. So going to a 923 where it's a marginal upgrade, if you were to say though, let's be honest, again, if you could get 921s fully custom fit, like you can get a 923 fully custom fit, and 921s were half the cost of a 923, would I buy 923 over 921? No, I'd get 921. If you can get both custom fit and the difference is small and marginal in each area, it's hard pressed to justify twice the amount of money. If they're exactly the same money and you can get them both custom fit, I'm going 923 Forged, because it's slightly better in certain areas. It looks slightly better, it feels slightly better, it performs slightly better, it's slightly more forgiving, but it's all slight. But there is a slight difference. There you go. Dave, there you go, David M. Hello, Dave. That's a refreshing view regarding fitting. I wish more fitters thought the same. That's because of the fact that I do it on the basis of making no money whatsoever from commission. I've never had any want of commission. I find commission. I'm a very moralistic individual. I have my ways of being, which frustrate the living heck out of people sometimes. But it is me, and I have my way of doing it. No different to the reason why in all my videos I give head data, and I give it to the nth degree. Why? Because rather than me just saying something and say, you go buy this golf club because it's really good, and especially this, right? Everyone knows my affiliation to a certain manufacturer. Yeah, it's a choice. I choose to wear Mizuno. Why do I choose to wear Mizuno? So when it comes to my irons, I have used Mizuno irons for yonks, years and donkey's years I've used since, can't remember when, because they just feel sound, so blooming lovely, and they look great. I mean, the blades are just, I'm a blade player, they look lovely. When it comes to the apparel, again, this is my choice. I actually quite like Mizuno clothes. Why? Because it fits me really well. Going back to what I said right at the start of the live stream, every manufacturer fits different. So when it comes to gloves, when it comes to shoes, when it comes to apparel, they all have slightly different shapes to them. And I'm fairly fortunate that I don't look like a sack of spuds when it comes to wearing what I wear, yeah? So it fits, and I like it. Okay, the colors sometimes, wow. My wife does not agree with my, well, it's not with my, it's with golf clothes full stop. And she has said on more than one occasion when I have rocked out the latest color scheme from Mizuno, and I've said, there you go, darling, what do you think of this? And she's gone, wow, that's better than contraception. And when you got your wife saying that kind of stuff, you kind of get the impression of what, yeah, normal people that don't like golf think of some of the interesting designs of golf attire. But yeah, so that's the reason. So when it comes to me, obviously wearing what I do visually, if I was to go then turn around and say, go buy the JPX 923 Hot Metal because it's brilliant, yeah, you're going to go, yeah, of course you'd say that. Well, that's not honest. That's why I give head data. So I am absolutely honest. I'm not just saying this one goes faster, this one goes longer, this one goes higher, because I've swung it faster and not said that. I've just gone, look at the ball speed increase, look how really good it is, look how much longer than it is in that other one. And you guys are going, well, hang on a minute, that's a bit of a shocker, isn't it? A Mizuno going longer when you're wearing Mizuno everywhere. So I give head data, and because I give head data, if it is better, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but if it is better, you can see exactly why. And because I'm very, very adamant to try and get my swing speeds, etc., and try and get everything as close as I possibly can do to identical, apples for apples testing, if there are differences, that's physically in their head. And that's not because my hat says Mizuno, that's because the designers of the golf club made the golf club they did, which has a difference to performance. But that's why I do it, to keep everything open and transparent and completely detracted away from the fact that I choose to wear a manufacturer. No different if I was wearing a Callaway hat or whatever, it'd be Callaway clothes, and I'm now doing the paradigms. Everyone's going, well, you would say that, wouldn't you, because you're wearing it. You kind of get the drift, yeah. Spike said, I play them because my son sells Mizuno. Yeah, we wear same sizes, and I hope my hand-me-ups. Yeah, that's, Spike, that's a very good thing. If you got that, then yes. It's when it comes, there are perks. So when it comes to YouTube, there are certain perks, absolutely. And visually, a lot of people see a golf hat says, okay, what did I miss? I don't know, where have you been? Jay, a special K, Kieran says, Jay, if you could go to any country to play golf, where and why? Why so many? Spain, Turkey. Turkey, they've got some ridiculously good hotels. Spain, you've got some really, really good golf courses. America, I would like to go to America and play because obviously most of it's manicured anyway. Dubai and places like that, they have some weird and wonderful things like night golf and stuff like that. So there's so many. Would I be able to choose? Probably not. Well, I know you can, of course, you can choose to just sort of like, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, unfortunately, with how busy I am, I can't see myself being able to have a golfing holiday anytime soon. I've only just been able to get the time enough to be able to go on honeymoon, which is actually happening in about, what, 3 weeks now? 4 weeks away today. Yeah, so there will be no live stream in 4 weeks today. Although there might be, because I did joke last week when, I can't remember now, was it Golf Addict? I can't remember now. He turned around and said, do we get one? What the missus say if we get one on the like live stream at normal time when I'm on holiday in Morocco, on honeymoon in Morocco? Yep. She grinned. Excuse me, windy pops. But yeah, so I think, wait anymore. Just want to make sure before I carry on. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. I'm just going to, so, was me. Oh, there we go, Mr. Mumble there. Of course it was, yes, it was. I remember now. I like that, it's funny. But she didn't mind. And do you know what, if I do one for fun, it will only be, and it's going to be very difficult actually, because I still need to get my phone sorted out, because my phone, the front camera, decided to stop working, which is really difficult when it comes to video calls. Yeah. Yep, she will make you a sandwich and caddy for you on your honeymoon. Yeah, I did check with her on that one, and she's very, very polite, my wife, and I will add this in myself. I do feel that the Foxtrot Oscar would have been possibly something which she wouldn't mean, although she would never say it, when I mentioned caddy and like lumping around a heavy bag. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. She's not really into golf. I think she's swung a golf club a few times, but yeah, it's not going to happen. But you never know, it might get a point where I'll be doing a live stream, I'm not quite sure. Right, so time is now 10:15. Depending on how many people still want to talk about certain bits and pieces, I'm quite happy to, oh hello, did I press the wrong button? Possibly. What's going on here? There we go. Wow, for a second now I pressed the wrong button and it all then rebooted itself. I'm quite happy to leave it there. If anyone wants to have any other questions, I'm more than happy to. It's just that what have we done now? We have gone for, I don't know, 2 hours. We've gone for 2.25 hours. So we're a good 2 hours away from where we were before when it comes to the 4.25 hour marathon. It would be interesting because I'm not one of these people that suffer because of like time. As long as I've got enough to drink and stuff, I could go all night without food, it's no problem. But I would be thinking what would be really cool one day to actually do like a 12-hour live stream. Not quite, gotta be careful. Yeah. Huge drink. It would be interesting, wouldn't it? To do a 12-hour live stream. Not quite sure how that would work. I'm pretty certain though, I'm not quite how, because obviously I've got batteries, I've got my wireless, I'm not quite sure it lasts more than sort of 5 hours maximum on a Rode video mic. But yeah, Gary might say night watch for me, Jay. Yeah. That would be an interesting one. Go for it, 12 hours, bring it on. Wow. Christmas special idea. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do with batteries though, because batteries are the problem, and it'll be my wireless microphone. It will be the problem. So I could possibly charge. Neil says no records today, but could be during the Open, so we could chat on that also. Yeah, I mean that's an idea. Now I've always tried to think about not doing live streams and not doing content That's why I didn't push to get my video out for the i230 and P770 done and ready this weekend. Why? Because obviously you're talking about Augusta, and whilst Masters is on, no one's going to be really want to watch YouTube when you're going to be, yeah, quite rightly want to watch the Masters. So we're talking about viewership and making sure that a video does okay. So picking your times to release. Gary says, do it for your fave charity and we'll call, yeah, we can all donate. That'd be a really good idea. That'd be quite a good idea. Yeah, that'd be an interesting idea. I've got to try and work out, so if I'm going to do a 12-hour live stream, which will be an absolute mammoth, I've got to work on batteries. Batteries are going to be my biggest problem, because these, I mean, I'll charge them up, but I think 5 or 6 hours will be the absolute max you can get out of a Rode video mic. So what it might be, I'm not quite sure if I can charge them as I'm using them. So I could charge the one that's sitting on my receiver on there, just need to get a longer cable. And this one that I've got in my pocket, which is obviously attached to a lavalier, I could possibly charge whilst I'm sitting here, and if I wanted to get up and demonstrate or do anything, I'll have to unplug it and then plug it back in. So it's possibly doable. I could possibly do it. But yeah. Wow. For a record 12 hours, it would be okay to second screen, I think. Yeah, I can imagine that. Well, again, when it comes to doing like podcasts and stuff, I've thought about doing that, but there you go, not to worry. Right, so anyway, if anyone has got any other questions or anything else like that, I'm more than happy to answer them. Apart from that, I'm thinking that I might call it, not sure, you tell me. Just give them time for everybody to write down what they think. Now I have got the stream on ultra low latency, so we have got a small, very small time delay between what I say and what you see, but it still takes a little bit of time to type in. So please don't forget about the 11 golf clubs, thanks. I won't. What I need to do is I need to try and find out their marketing team's contact details. That would be an interesting, because the problem I have a lot of things is that I get a lot of different companies reach out to me to want me to evaluate and review their golf clubs. However, when you look at the small print, or when you look at the contract as such, when it comes to them giving me media samples to physically test, they want a good review. Well, I can understand why, but they want a good review, and they want to proofread or proof watch that review before it goes live, so then they can say yes or no. Well, that's not how I work, being frank. No, I don't see the equipment itself, the product should be good enough to sell itself, in essence. And so if it isn't, then I will just say why. And because I always give head data, and I always give open upfront head data, we will be able to see exactly why it doesn't work, or if it does work and how it works really well. But a company's got to be very, very confident and comfortable with channels like mine being given media samples, because obviously it could go horrifically wrong. If it's something that they're effectively, or certain companies may pay certain people to say certain things, which then gives them a leg up when it comes to the sales side of things, I get it. Do I agree with it? No, but I know obviously it happens. When it comes to me though, I will just test it and give an honest opinion with open, transparent head data to prove whatever I'm saying, which is right or wrong. Looking forward to my Stealth 2 HD Woods and Hybrid. Yeah, good golf clubs, they are. Hoping I made the right choice. Well, if I remember, Golf, you're struggling through not being able to get fitting, so you've bought off the interweb, if I remember, on a punt, where, yeah, difficult, I guess, but a lot of people unfortunately have to do similar things because they just haven't got access yet. Yeah, haven't got access to things, and it's a shame. especially when there's certain areas which are so inundated with and they're so abundant when it comes to their possibilities of being able to just test whatever they want. And then other places, unfortunately so, just haven't got that same just the availability to be able to test certain things, and they have to then buy it off the internet, and it's crazy. It really is, especially with the cost of stuff at the moment, because we are talking about a lot of money when it comes to just buying Woodson hybrid. I mean, if you would just say even the old Ping stuff, let's just go old Ping stuff, you were talking about £420 for the head of the driver, or for the shaft as well. It was something like £270 for Woods. So £270 times 2 is £540. Then add £420 for that. Before you know, you're not far off. £1,000 for a driver and 2 Woods. That's mental, but it's life, and this is the thing. So it's really, really important that people do obviously make the right choice when it comes to it, and it's really difficult also when you're in your location. Your locale is one that makes it very, very difficult to actually get fit. So yes, I do absolutely hope and fingers crossed that everything is good for you on that one. Neil says the business has been used to be able to censor print articles with advertising as leverage. I don't want my TV screen to go off. Hang on, bear with. They need to get used to new way of the world. Well, Neil, I would actually love it if they would, but unfortunately, as they continue to do the same thing and still do fairly well doing the same things, and especially in the world of YouTube. YouTube is a completely different thing. Obviously, if you're talking about when it comes to print articles and stuff like that, that's one thing, and I've been doing that for years. When it comes to the world of YouTube, and YouTube is growing, and it continues to grow every single year when it comes to especially the golf side of things. And yeah, it's one of those things, unfortunately. Claire says, hello Claire, nice to have you on. 3 fittings with 3 different companies over a 2-week period. Oh, I bet you're knackered. Oh, can't say knackered, the wife doesn't like it. Bad word, apparently, pointless word. I bet you're tired. Knackered sounds better. All different shafts, recommendations, weird. Okay, so that's an interesting one. Was one of them with a Mizuno swing DNA? Yeah, if one of those was with Mizuno, say yes. If it was with Mizuno and they used the DNA, say yes. And if it was yes, okay, that's good. We got one yes. Was it yes, was Mizuno with DNA, with the swing DNA? And if so, if it is a yes, then what shaft did they, great, brilliant. So what shaft did they say that you will recommend that you should have had, and then what were the differences with the other 2 manufacturers? Because that is an interesting thing. Sometimes you do get a little bit of a change, especially when you've got, if you go swing DNA, you should get the same results, or very, 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 very similar results, regardless of when you test it. Next week, this week, tomorrow, just tested, it should within reason be very, very similar. The difference can be when you're talking about going to different companies and they bumper car fit, then you can get like big differences. Golfer says, I believe today's golf has said that the 11 golf clubs were £69 each. Wowzers. £69 each. Retail. That'd be really interesting. Do you know what? I will try. I'll stick it on my. Where's my piece of paper? I'll stick it on my to-do list to see if I can do that. There you go. Got it on my to-do list to try and seek them out and try and get hold of them, because that'd be really good, obviously, to do a test like that. Because if they are £69 each, £70 retail. So Claire says Nippon 130X, Titleist Project X, LZ 120, Shrixon Modus 105X. Okay, so I'm assuming the Mizuno said it was a Nippon 130X, so it can't be because we haven't got a Nippon 130X in the Mizuno. Which one was the Mizuno? Because it can't be the Nippon 130X because they don't have the Nippon 130X in their shaft selection, unless we're talking about it's something like that's an American one, and if it is from America, they might have different shaft. Sorry, 120X. Okay, yeah. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Bear with. Wow, yeah, come on. Went straight past it. There you go. That might now request a. No, it wants to go with the full hog. Right, so you can see in the background, you can't really see in the background, but there you go. Let's just go test. Let's do an iron fitting, doesn't matter, let's go. Claire, can you remember your numbers by any chance? Your 4 numbers? Not expecting you to, which just makes it a lot bit easier for me. If you can remember your clubhead speed and then your 4 numbers from the swing DNA, they should show it to you. There's nothing wrong with showing it to you, but obviously some people do, some people don't. They should do. As you can see at the moment, I'm doing it live as such. Two shaft with same weight and flex is not completely off. No, but there'll be different bend profiles, Niels. 86 miles an hour, okay. Can you remember your tempo, toe down, kick angle, and release factor? Because that would save me a lot of work messing around, and I can get straight into the nitty gritty of it, which is always fun. 4 tempo, that's okay, good. Don't say 4, 3, 5, 4. Because generally speaking, what I'm something like, I used to be 4, 3, 5, 4. I'm now 5, 3, 5, 4. And transition 9, what, toe down 9? Because you've got tempo, which is 4, then you've got toe down, kick angle, release factor. So you'll get something like 86, 4, 1, 2, 6, or whatever it be. Transition, that would be tempo. YouTube drink. But I mean, if you're talking about a 120X, I mean, even if I just go 555, I can always mess around with it. I'll just do that, and then if you can tempo 9, what, the first one? So 86 miles an hour, then the first one is tempo, and then. I mean, I'll see if I can. I might be able to do it on OBS. I'm not quite sure if I can or not. I will see if I can add. I might be doing this really wrong. I'll see if I can add a video Windows capture. Window capture, call it that, and then call it that. Right. So hopefully, if I do this, you might be able to see it. And if this goes horribly wrong, there you go. So, fast transition, but not the speed to keep accelerating. So, okay, if we just go 9, I've never seen a 9 before, by the way, when it comes to tempo. Claire, being frank, well, you can call me whatever you want, to be fair. Brian, if you want. But let's just run 86, 9, 5, 5, 5. Yep, that's just, and we'll run finish. Normally we go next and we go to other swings and stuff like that, but let's just run it as finish. So you can see this, I'm doing this live, kind of, as you see. JPX, it doesn't really matter, let's just go JPX, let's go Forge, it makes no difference to the fit whatsoever. So that's interesting. You can see from there, I mean, obviously, right, when it comes to these two, right, so you were saying before, let's just kind of get rid of that very quickly. I go back to what you're saying. I can see it now, you can still see it up on the screen, which is the main thing, but I'm reading the, you said 120X for Nippon, that's an interesting one. Titleist Project X LZ 120, not in a month for Sundays. There is no way on a month for Sundays that you'll be something like that. I mean, you could possibly have that, but that is such a weak bend profile. Yeah, that's the orange one at the bottom. That would be so weak. But I don't know the rest of your numbers, you see. We need to know the rest of your numbers. But even if we were to dumb this down, and let's go edit again, and let's dumb this right down. If we know that the tempo is 9, I'll be honest, if you've got an 86 head speed, which is not, it'll be slightly faster than actually when you measure it on quad, and you've got a tempo 9, so when it comes to your flex and your weights, so speed is a component of what you perceive as flex, or what people perceive as flex, but it is not the overriding factor. This is the overriding factor when you're talking about weight and flex, is the tempo, is your transition speed, your abruptness of how you load it. How you load it, ladybug, how you load it is the next 3, or 2, and then obviously release factors when you unload it. But the other ones are how you load it. When it comes to your head speed and your tempo, it's the speed you generate and how you generate it. The higher the number, the more you offend the shaft. So even if I was to go like 1 on the rees and release factor, let's just do it at the ball 4, and let's just go finish on that, and let's just go same thing, JPX 923 forged, it comes up there, you're still whacking in the 130 grammars, and you're saying 120X. I mean, to go down to 120X, you're having to go to a dynamic goal 120X. I mean, that's so far down there on the list, and that is as weak as you can possibly get. An 86 and then a 9 and then a 1-1 is the most bland, I'm not bending it at all. I've never seen those numbers like that. That is such a weird and wonderful, never seen it. But because you've got 86 miles an hour, which is okay, which is pretty good, no problem with that whatsoever, and you've got tempo 9, you are going to need something, you're going to need stiffy. You're looking like a proper scaffold pole. And yeah, even if you put 1, 1 and 4 in release factor, releasing your lag, I hate that term, retained angle at the golf ball, which is around about 4 to 5, and you have no offending kick angle or toe down, you are still looking at a 130 grammer. So there is something not quite right when it comes to what they were saying on there. The closest one you could say on that would possibly be, it would have to be the LZ, but the problem is even that, it's just going to be, well, the 120, that's going to be the 6, not the 6.5. It's just not right. I mean, it's just what, like 120X on there, but that's not, I mean, that's that one there. But if you look at the bend profile on a Modus 120X or the stiff, it doesn't matter. Look at that bend profile. That orange one there is so weak. Whenever you get someone who has a bend profile that fits into an NS Pro Modus 120, doesn't matter, 120 stiff or extra, it's all got the same bend profile, really, really weak, about 1/3, 1/4 or so way up from the tip upwards. The only other one you could possibly go for would be an LZ, because it has a similar bend profile, but nothing as aggressive as a 120 Modus. It is a very unique shaft. But with what you're doing on there, in my fitting had a Modus 105X in the shaft irons I took with me. Yeah, I mean, that's 105. If what we're saying, the numbers in there are true, I mean, 9 on your tempo, I don't think I have ever seen a 9. Being honest, I've never seen a 9. That is a transition at the speed of light, as in, I've never seen a 9. I've seen plenty of weird and wonderful numbers as the time's gone on, but I've never seen a 9. And so, without a malfunction in the tool, and sometimes there is a malfunction from time to time, but yeah. So yeah, that's a bit of an interesting one. She also says that they recommend shafting 130 weight and nothing could beat the 105s. So with how you offend the shaft, you would be in that. It has always been 9 or 8 tempo. Wow, that's impressive. I would love, okay, that was going to come round, I was going to go, well, I was going to say that I would love to get my hands on you, but it's in a case of if I was to get you in a room with DNA, and I'd physically want to see how you do things, get you on quad and measure you exactly, that would interest me no end because of how you do things. I'm assuming you're a I was going to say, I'm assuming you're a fairly decent golfer, +2 handicap. Impressive live fitting advice. This is a really, I mean, that is a really interesting fit. 86 miles an hour and 8 or 9 from tempo. That is quick. I mean, I'm fast. Guys, you've watched me, and people have told me in the past that I'm very flat, I'm standing further away. Everyone's got their own opinion of certain things. Remember, guys, when it comes to a spectrum, I'll get rid of the live thing on here now. Where is it? On that there. Oh, get rid of it. Transition, get away with that. Yeah, so guys, you've seen when it comes to there's a spectrum of everything, yeah, of what's acceptable between uber flat when it comes to and then uber upright, when it comes to very fast, very slow, or whatever it be. There's so many different things within golf that you've got spectrums which are fine to use because they're within the realms of okay. As soon as you start going either side of that, you start going into like compensation, swing compensations, which then makes golf a bit more difficult. But as long as you're within a sensible, it doesn't matter. And I'm within a sensible bracket, like no different. Keegan Bradley is way more than me. But he's played pretty good in the past, and he's still a very, 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 very good golfer. So again, it's not a problem. Claire says Mizuno at Bearwood Lakes were confused as well. I can bet they were, and I know of the guys at Bearwood, and they would be very. I mean, it'd been brilliant to be a fly on the wall. Who is your fitter? Can you remember at Bearwood? That ladybug's driving me insane. I want to kill it. I like ladybugs. He just likes the light. That's what he's doing. In the pro shop. So, what I would, the thing is, what you've got is you've got the difference between what your bend profile would say, head pro, what would say as your preferred, and so remember the swing DNA. This thing that you see, or will see, right? That there effectively is where you are. If you are just talking about bend profile, then you are talking about the difference between the golfer. Now, as a general rule, when it comes to handicap golfers, okay, you're a handicap golfer still, +2, but you're still a handicap golfer, if you know what I mean. When you're talking about higher handicap golfers, yeah, you get them in as close to bend profile as you possibly can, because we are talking about unnecessary bending and stuff like that, which is going to cause more inaccuracy or inconsistency, which they already currently have at a high handicap level. So you're trying to take the equipment and consistency out of the equation completely. When it comes to a good golfer, when it comes to a very close to scratch golfer, single, very, let's say, mid-low single figures, and then plus handicaps, you are talking about much more dealing with the golfer as an individual themselves. So, like lie angle for one. When it comes to a high handicapper, lie angle, get it as close to 0 as you possibly can do. Why? Because obviously the ground or turf interaction benefits that you get when you're talking about a high handicap golfer, which hits the big ball before the small ball too many times. Having lie 0 allows them to get a little bit more accuracy from their golf equipment because they're not twisting and stuff like that through poor lie angle. And also the loft is obviously pointing in the same direction where the face is hopefully pointing. When it comes to a good golfer, when it comes to, I would say single digits, definitely down low, or anyone who gets to a point of where they always hit the small ball first and the big ball they hit afterwards, then you look at changing or fitting lie through trajectory to try and tune their trajectory in. You at a +2 handicap would definitely be in that category, and then I would also be fitting you on the basis of, look, this is where you should be. This is a conversation, this is a two-way conversation. You tell me what you want feel-wise, you tell me what you like feel-wise, you tell me how you like the shaft to feel, if you have any specific wants or requirements, and then we will try and marry your known now bend profile with a weight and flex construct of your choice and preference. That's not always doable. But the great thing obviously with Mizuno, as you can see, I mean, you can see by all the different ones there. As I'm click on there, you can see the different goes orange. So if you know that you're in, let's say you are there, yeah, you like the KBS Tour, that's where you are or whatever. We can find something which is going to be lighter than that, which will then hopefully be somewhere close to there. You can see slightly, what's it called on the tip, and also softer on the butt. Something like that, which is much more in line with the blue, but then it comes away at the butt end. So again, we are talking about all different ideas. I mean, it doesn't take 2 seconds to go through them and see what you'd like. I mean, that's one that's very, very similar. But yeah, that's the whole idea anyway, of trying to, there we go, get rid of that, meet you in the middle. Golf Addict saying, starting to sound dirty here, laugh my arse off just saying. Yeah, the problem with golf is that because of the terminology used, there's double entendres anywhere. It's like innuendo bingo. And of course, when you're just talking guy to guy and stuff like that, you don't pay no attention to it. When obviously you're talking two members of the opposite sex, yes, then I suppose for a bit of giggle fest, it can be a little bit, oh yeah, no, you kind of get over it after a while, and you think, yeah, the same joke the 7th time is not as much as funny anymore, and yeah. And the females have had it constantly anyway, because again, golf is largely dominated by men, and yeah, anyway, so. But, kidding, lol, as he says on there. Claire says, but what you feel and what the computer says aren't always compatible. Absolutely, Claire, 100% right. So you get basically how you offend the shaft, how you should offend, or how you offend the shaft, and then what shaft should fit. But it's a two-way conversation. So straight away, I would say, obviously, as a lady golfer, at 86 mile an hour head speed measured on DNA, you are most probably 89 miles an hour on quad, or very much so closer to that when it comes to TrackMan, because TrackMan measures somewhat differently to quad, and yeah, I won't get into that. But I'll be guessing, Claire, that if you were measured on TrackMan, which I think you would be at Bearwood Lakes, your head speed would be very, very similar to 86 miles an hour, which would be real term 88, 89 miles an hour on quad, which means as a girl, as a lady golfer, as a female golfer, you are strong. I mean, you are not far off me. And I'm not a particularly strong male. I mean, I'm not slow by no stretch of the imagination, but there are obviously people that are faster, but there are also a lot of people that are slower. So it's, yeah, you have to fit the individual, especially when it comes to you, because of the level you are. And that is not because you're a female +2, it's because you are a +2. And so every person who comes in is a two-way conversation anyway, but you, as the handicap changes, you do change, or have to change the way you fit a little bit. David Ramsey says, my wife was at Mizuno today, a fitting day at a local club. We were told that Mizuno released a new DNA software which has a bug, so no DNA shaft fitting was available. She was fitted to 233. No bug. There was a bug, was there? I generally speaking, I've heard this a lot, and I'm not saying this just sort of like, you know, put the cat amongst the pigeons, because, you know, I mean, I love Mizuno and stuff like that, but a lot of the time I've heard that. And actually, what's the case of? There's been a technical error with the guy's iPad, or, and this is not the, if it was from a Mizuno, obviously fitter, it would be, I'm assuming, it would be one of the area sales guys, area sales managers. They will come down and do it. They'll do demo days, and so they know the software. They know the software, and effectively, what it could be very simple. Is they haven't got. I don't know, they haven't got internet access, or they've got a problem with the iPad, and so they can't, it doesn't work, the app doesn't work for whatever reason, and then obviously everyone has to have a reason. And rather than, yeah, I'm struggling with something which doesn't look very professional, it's probably easier to pass off a bug. Although, I'll be frank, again, why can't I say frank? I'll be John. I'll be honest, that I have never, failed to have a fitting using, this has been within reason, they update it, of course they do, and there's sometimes little hiccups and stuff that you have to turn the PC off and restart everything again. It won't just boot up, do an update and then refresh, it just has to be shut right down and start again, but that's every so often. But it always works, but there you go. She was fitted 223s, or 923s. I did not mean to offend, just having a giggle. I do apologise to you, Claire. No, I think Claire's fine. And it's fine, Golf at it. It's fine. You didn't offend anybody. Well, you didn't offend me anyway. You're not going to offend me. Dale Ramsey with recoil that shaft, but she's thinking of holding off to next year for the new MP range release. My wife plays off 3, by the way. Yeah, good player. Very good player. Right, so when it comes to, okay, well, it depends on how we look at the new MP, which is coming out, it might be out in September. There is a rumour that it may not be out until February, depending on what the situation is with many things, one being components. Now, at the moment, it has calmed down a little bit. So Mizuno are running like 20 days or so, 20 working days. Sorry, 20 working days or so, which is still like 5 weeks. When you're looking at it, there's still quite a bit. By adding more load into the system when it comes to golf in general, I mean, some manufacturers fare slightly better than others. Some manufacturers don't have such a dependency on shaft manufacturers, where say like Ping, because they offer aftermarket shaft, they have a lot of their own shafts in there, which they make themselves and stuff, so they haven't got, for the vast chunk of their orders, they're being supplied by their own self, so they haven't got a problem that way. So their lead times are shorter. But when it comes to normal other manufacturers which do use and dependent on other manufacturers for shafts, again, that can get rather difficult. It's not too bad at the moment, so it might well be September or October when we see the new Mizuno Pro. It's not MP anymore. I still call it MP, and I still believe it should be called MP. So like the MP20s here, I mean, they did everything right with the MP20, even the font they used I liked. I'm still getting my head around Mizuno Pro. Just got fitted into my new iron shafts and news as soon as I felt it in my hand before hitting a ball that it was right. That's new. Well, yeah, because you can do that. The balance of it just feels really nice when you swing it and saying, yeah, I like the feeling of this. This really feels nice. And as soon as you've got that, feeling of I really like this is really cool. I mean, yeah, this feels so good to swing. You're already halfway there, because remember, golf is a grey matter game. Your brain is the only thing telling your muscles what to do, even though it is effectively a like muscle memory thing that you're doing. It is something that you have to do over and over and over and over and over again, but it takes your brain to do it. And by giving yourself these feelings of, wow, yeah, I really like the feel of this, already you're on the way to hitting it really well. Because the brain is a wonderful thing. So yeah, but no, as you can see, the swing software working absolutely fine. But there you go. So right, Claire, did that, if you're still watching, did that answer your question a little bit? Really interesting numbers, by the way, what you've got on there, and that is, I mean, I would love to be able to spend time with you, seeing how you swing, and just even being a fly on the wall when it comes to a fitting on there, because that is a very, very interesting tempo number, 8 to 9. Very aggressive, but I mean, at +2 handicap. No one should change you. Obviously, at +2 handicap, it works, and it works very well. So there's no way that anyone should ever change what you do and see that an 8 to 9, well, that's really quite, well, it is high, and transition is aggressive, and it works. +2, it obviously works. Don't change it. Like John Rahm, no different. I mean, John Rahm does his own thing, like ridiculously aggressive in his transition, and I would like to see his tempo number. But it works. He's just won the Masters. What on earth would anyone do when it comes to a coach and turn around to John Rahm and say, well, the only justification that a coach would go to see John Rahm and say, look, we need to change you, is because of the longevity of it, possibly. Yeah, work that one out. Right. So, if anybody else has any other questions, I will happily answer. If not, what I will do, I will depart. Confusing why Titleist isn't and Srixon's were so different. Yeah, because the thing is, when it comes to it, Claire, is if you're looking here, you've obviously got Nippon 120X, Titleist Project X LZ 120, and Srixon Modus 105. You play the 105s, because did you say you played the 105s anyway? The recommended shafts, and nothing could beat the 105. Yeah, so no, when it comes to, the Srixon one went very much so closer to what you already got. It's a safe bet. Change the head, keep the shaft, change the head. Anything you've got at the moment, generally speaking, it's not because you don't like the shaft of it. It's the head, whether it's center of gravity, the head or just your miss point on the head doesn't suit doesn't suit as much performance you could get out of something newer, because of the design of the head is wrong compared to what you could have. So keep the shaft the same, and then just change the head. That means then any kind of difference that you have straight away is nothing to do with the shaft, it's all to do with the head. You can take one out of the equation straight away. So and I'm not saying it's not, when I use the terminology, I don't mean to say that the Srixon one was lazy, not at all. But the lazy way of doing it is literally that. Keep the shaft the same, change the head, see what the differences are. Mizuno just said it was because I was familiar with it. Well, yeah, it would be, absolutely. So at a +2 handicap, you have to be articulately told why changing shafts at a +2 to such a difference from a 105X would have a tangible benefit. And then that tangible benefit needs to be then seen within a constructive experimental fitting. When it comes to changing heads, keeping the shaft the same, that's the easy thing, because you can just do that and you can see if there's a benefit for you. That is very easily tested, and that is then very easily seen when it comes to a performance gain or not. Because if you've kept that shaft the same, which you've always used, and you change the head and instantly there's a performance gain, well, that's from the head and that's got nothing to do with the shaft. Once you've then gained that understanding of what head works best with the shaft that you've got, then change a shaft and see if you can beat it. Do heads affect shafts that much? No, not necessarily. So there will be a slight difference in deflection that a blade will make over a super game improvement iron with the center of gravity so far away from the center of gravity of the shaft. So obviously the bigger the head, there's a different how the two center of gravities then react as such, or what's it called, have a relationship with each other, you know what I mean, how they play together. When it comes to the blade, because the centre of gravity is much closer to the shaft, it has less, with a super game improvement have more. Also, when it comes to the stiffer you have a shaft, the stiffer your bend profile, the less that difference would make anyway. So the weaker the bend profile, the bigger the differences in variations would have within heads. But the head can make a big difference when it comes to the physical flight of the ball, more so than anything to do with the shaft. But if you were to keep the shaft exactly the same as a 105X, just change the head. If you gain performance straight away from just changing the head, and then you go, look, there you go, we've got a gain of 4 yards, 2 yards in the air, 2 degrees on descent angle. I don't know, just picking numbers out of the air. But let's say there's a tangible benefit of changing it from one head, what you currently use, to a new head. Once you've then tested the heads to know which one works best for you, then you change the shaft.
because you are a different kind of fit to the normal person. Because when I say the normal person, if you imagine the pyramid of golfers that we are at the moment, we always have been, the top bar, you know, where you've got the little ice on the top of the mountain, that is reserved for PGA Tour players in general, and elite amateurs and tour like teaching pros and stuff like that. We're up in there. We're very up the top. Then halfway down, yeah, you're looking at everyone who hits over 100 regularly. So like half of golfers don't break 100 regularly. So if you break 100 regularly, you're already better than half the golfers in the world. So it doesn't take long to get up to there, you know what I mean? But you're talking about the vast majority of golfers are down there. Always use blades. Good on you. So in your case, no. The heads won't make that much difference at all, because you're running with a centre of gravity very, very close to it anyway. We're not moving away with a lower, further back CG. So with you, I'm assuming your fit was like 221 and stuff like that, and JPX 923 Tour. So I would, I don't know what golf clubs you had at the start, but I mean, we are talking about small differences. But if there is a difference, +2 of blades, that's some skill level. Blades, Kieran, and blades are more forgiving than you think. They really, really are. There is a huge myth based around blades about you need to be a certain level to play blades. You don't. If you've got some modicum of being able to put any kind of contact, and tell you what, Kieran, you're an exact example. When you're left to your own devices and you are just doing your normal swing, not having any kind of input into changing your swing to become more efficient in the long term, your striking is very, very good. Your striking is that good that quite easily you could easily play blades when it comes to your normal striking. Okay, when you are taught a different thing, and like with everybody, then they change their swing slightly. The first thing to go is strike. That normally happens. So when you are changing your swing and then you strike it like a bag of, don't go, oh, it just doesn't work, give on about it. That always happens. The first thing to go when you make a change to someone's swing is their strike. They continue doing that move over and over and over again. They learn how to do it, and strike will come back. That's just a fact. So have patience with the change. So yeah, in your case, Claire, I would say go to a 221 other than the MP20 or an MP18 or whatever you had before, or whatever manufacturer you had before, to 221. Is there a benefit? Keep in a 105X. If there is a benefit, then great. If there's no benefit, I'm already looking down the route of saying, well, we will try what the Mizuno say MP18. Although actually, okay, if you're coming from an MP18, you may feel a difference with 221, because obviously MP18 was the first of the HD mouldings, and they didn't have copper underlay. The Mizuno changed straight away after MP18 because of the feedback they got from MP18. They went from MP5, say, to MP18. MP18 straight away was harsh. It was one of my least favourite MP irons ever, because of the nature of the forging. Brilliant forging. They changed their forging process to a more of a HD process, but by doing so, they made the MP18 quite hard. And so straight away, MP20, the next one that came out, funny enough, it came out with copper underlay to try and bring back some of that buttery softness that Mizuno was always known for, which they didn't really have in the MP18. So you will most probably, like for like, feel a difference with 221. It will feel nicer, feel softer. But if there's a tangible benefit in performance, that's an interesting one. I'm not quite sure there will be. If we go an MP18 blade, 221 blade, it will be very, very minute. And then couple that with a possible change in shaft to much more of a closer to what the bend profile says that on Mizuno Swing DNA, there would have to be a benefit. Because remember, if you are getting the consistency, you're getting the flight, you're getting everything from a 105X, and even if it was me, someone would have to really persuade me hard to try and persuade me to get into 130s or 125s, because remember, we're not just talking about a few swings, 20 swings, 30 swings, or whatever it be, 50 swings in a bay. We are talking about playing golf where you are walking, where you're constantly hitting, and you're out there for 4 hours. And if you're out there for 4 hours, it is sometimes a little bit of a war of attrition, and you get tired. And if you're going to be increasing shaft weight, static weight by that much, times by however many times you're going to swing it, we are talking about a fatigue potential. So if you're getting what you want with 105X, someone's going to have to persuade me like pretty well to try and be able to get me into something anywhere close to a 120 or 125 gram shaft. That's my 2 pence anyway. Hope that's helped to a certain extent from that point of view. But no, it's good. Yeah, you are spot on with that fatigue point. It's true. I mean, when you're moving that mass for that long, that many times, you can't help it. It's going to happen. If you look at my swing DNA, I'm 125, 130 gram. I play 120 gram. Why? Not because I'm not self-sensitive anyway, but I just like the feel of it. I think that it's just balanced. Fair enough. That was weird. Don't know what happened there. Am I still going? I think so. We had a momentary loss of, yeah, I'm back. OBS crashed. Had a bit of a wig out. Next thing you know, yeah. We almost lost you there. Yeah, I thought I lost myself. Dear me. I thought I lost my internet. I thought what was going on either. I had, everything was going well, and then suddenly OBS crashed. And it went doo-doo-doo. But there you go. So anyway, I think OBS is trying to tell me that I've got to the 3 hour plus mark, and I think it's time that I, well, departed. Unless anyone else has got any questions. Thank you very much to Claire. I appreciate all the information, the questions and the answers on that one, really do. And a very interesting small topic just going through there. But be interesting to see, or just literally put it, yes or no answer, if you actually thought there was a feel difference between the MP18 and 221. Was there a slight more of a softer feeling with the 221 over an MP18? Your opinion. You're not wrong or right, or it's just your own opinion. It's fine. Excuse me. YouTube drink. Three hours plus, as tradition has it, always is, isn't it? Unfortunately with me. The problem is, I mean, the reason why I do the live streams at the end of the day is purely because I get the vast majority of my work done, and if it drags on, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's not. If I was to do this at 11 o'clock in the morning and it drags on 3 hours, that would be like crazy when it comes to my filming time. Is in the morning, say like between 9:30 and about 12:30 or so, and that means I've got editing after that. Depends on what I'm doing, it allows me possibly to get some form of video up that day, depending on what I'm doing. If it's a very small one, no problem. If it's a medium-sized one, I have to get all the filming done and then edit that day up until a certain time, and it will be released the next day. So, but yes, that's the reason why I do my live streams in the evening. It just makes my day a bit more productive if it does go on for 3 hours plus. So, right. So unless everybody is, well, if I've got no more questions, I'm quite happy to leave it there to say thank you very much. I will do, if I can, I'll just go over to the viewer activity. It's come up, which is good. A special a special K thank you to Kieran. Thank you very much. So all people that donated. So Kieran donated. Thank you very, very much for that. I really do appreciate that. It is very much well appreciated. Don also $7.48. There you go. Thank you very much. Niels has done his 40 Danish kroner, and for us, thank you. What was that? Have a drink on me, or something, wherever it is. Yeah. Abstract AV £4.99. Thank you very, very much for some mouthwash. I have my mouthwash here. Although it's going down now. And Elaine has $5, thank you very much, and a question regarding the swing weights, etc. And Gary Much, £1.99 for my explanation. I think it was of low point, if I remember, or something different. Can't remember now. But thank you very, very much for everybody who donated. It makes a massive difference. And Golf Addict was just who's got in at the end. Golf Addict was determined to be the last person to donate. And thank you very, very much, Golf Addict. It's $5.50 Canadian. And don't they have that joke between the Canadian dollar and the American dollar, that a Canadian dollar's worth about, yeah, you buy a driver for something like 850 Canadian dollars, and it's something like $695 or whatever it is, and it's something like 500 and something pounds. How, yeah, why can't we just have one currency? It would be so much easier. Bitcoin for everybody. No. No, I like being able to sort of count money rather than just see it on a screen or something. So yeah, but no, GolfNut, thank you very, very much. I do very much appreciate it. He was absolutely determined to be the last one. Right. If everyone has had their say and no other questions whatsoever, I am happy to. I'm not sure if there's going to be a live stream next week. I'm not sure, I'll be honest. What I will do, as I always do, I will put it up on the community side of YouTube to see, and you'll have to keep an eye on that. It will come through. If I will be doing one next week, it's just that I've got lots and lots of things going on, and I'm not sure at the moment is if I'll be able to get a live stream done next Monday. But I will, if I can, I will, as I always try to. But if I can, I will. If I can't, then I'm pre-warning everybody now. Thank you very much for the likes, by the way. I appreciate that. Anyone who hasn't liked it already, if they could pop down there and just give it a quick old thumbs up. YouTube likes it, so do I. And then, as long as everyone's okay, we will call it a night and see everybody hopefully next week. Gary Much, I was going ages ago, but fascinated by the Claire project. Yeah, it's really good. What Claire, what's her name? Claire Pearton. What the question she posed there was a classic version of what you see all the time when it comes to fittings. Now, obviously, Claire has the advantage of that she knows her game inside out because of the handicap level that she is at. Being +2, she knows her game and she knows her swing. And she's also confident enough to just question, when people say something, to question why, effectively, especially when it is so different to what she currently uses. Now, okay, she is a very unique case within reason because there are not that many +2 handicaps, remember, because we're talking about the pyramid of golfers. She is very much so on the top part of things, and when you talk about the vast majority of the base part of golfers, well, 50% of golfers don't break 100 regularly, so you are talking about a completely different type of fitting. Sean says, don't want to keep you, but thoughts about local club builder making my new 223s or just ordering from Mizuno. Price is the same. Your local club builder, is this in the UK? Or is it in the US? That would be a question. No, USA. Okay, so I'm not sure when it comes to USA, but I know in the UK, Mizuno Europe have a very small number of certified building areas. We have one very, very close to me, and they are certified to build Mizuno irons to the quality that Mizuno are happy with. Now, the advantage that they have over Mizuno is this. They don't have to have the shafts straight from Mizuno. Of course, Mizuno don't make shafts. They get the shafts from aftermarket manufacturers, third-party manufacturers, of which, if a certain store which has been accredited to be a Mizuno builder, if they've got some Dynamic Gold 120Xs that they've got in from Callaway, well, they'll just use them. No different if they've got a Callaway set that they've got some, I don't know, Project X, whatever it would be, that they got in from Mizuno, they'll use them. So they have the advantage of being able to pick and choose components they see fit. Now, if there are absolutely no warranty problems, if there are no my local shop gets access to a head-only supply, so I assume that's similar to your certified Mizuno builder. In that case then, head-only supply, if Mizuno are happy and will guarantee and warranty them exactly the same, then, and the local builder you trust to be as good as they should be, absolutely, why not? I mean, if it's quicker, if it's the same price, why not? As long as there's all those other boxes that are ticked when it comes to warranty, when it comes to quality, absolutely no problem whatsoever. It makes no sense to go straight to Mizuno and them being sit on the waiting list of ones to be done because they're busy, because they're doing really, really well. I mean, Mizuno are doing really, really well at the moment when it comes to their iron side. They're doing very, very well on other sides as well. There's always sides of the business where they feel that they could do better. Really, when it comes to their woods, they should be doing better than they are when it comes to their ST woods. And I'll be honest, what it is, it's an inability for Mizuno to put the money in it that's needed, like TaylorMade and Callaway do. I mean, TaylorMade and Callaway spend up-teen millions on just marketing and advertising and marketing, when Mizuno just don't do that. Yet they've got a product there in the STC 230 and the SCX 230 which easily goes up against the rest. They're not better than the rest. There's no better than the rest really. You could argue the only one better than the rest for any individual one that fits best, but that's it. And that will change dependent on the individual, but they're all as good as each other. The difference which say Mizuno need to do, they need to put some more money into it when it comes to marketing. But then unfortunately, that decision's well higher up the chain, and yeah, but because they've got a winning recipe in the STZ woods and the ST woods, so it's actually STZ, STX, and the 3 woods and the hybrids as well. They just need to push more money into marketing so you can get the message out to people to actually have that as an option, a viable option to test. But yeah, there you go. Trust, lol, first time I'm working with them, but yeah, they are much faster, less than 10-day turnaround. Okay, so yeah, Sean, final word on would be, if they are warranted the same, they're guaranteed the same, and the quality of the craftsmanship is exactly the same when it comes to fabrication, and it comes to obviously the specifications of what yours need to be loft and lie, go for it. Definitely, absolutely, go do for it. So do for it, go for it, do it. Right. If everybody has finished, I will make like a tree and leaf. All right, bad, isn't it really? Oh, now, see, now my Screwfix collection's ready. That's taken the mickey. Yeah. I've been wanting, so basically all I want is a switched fuse spur, a black switched fuse spur, because I need to take the 13 amp UK thing. You take a 13 amp fuse out and put the 10 amp fuse for what the air source heat pump stroke air conditioning unit that I need to wire in, so I can put it straight into a yeah, anyway. But trying to get hold of one has been a nightmare, and Screwfix are, yeah, pain in the backside. Tried to blame Parcel Force, they didn't deliver it. Okay, right, in that sense, yeah, that's enough about my electrical fun, because I do my own electrics as well, because I just enjoy doing stuff like that. Right, if everyone is finished, thank you very, very much for everyone who's donated today. Again, I will just say it before I leave, it is very much so appreciated and very, very kind of everybody to give their time, give their money, and just simple things like that is just so heartwarming and heartfelt. Because it's just a very, very kind thing to do. It's something that's not requested, it is something which is given out of the kindness of your own hearts, and it does warm my little cockles. So thank you very, very kindly for everybody that has very, very kindly donated. Right, everyone have a lovely week. When Masters is now finished, we have a little while now to the next one. It won't be too long, really, I suppose, but yeah, summer is on its way, although not for this week because it's peeing down with rain all blooming week. But there you go. I suppose the one good thing is it's never rainy in the simulator, ever. Thank God. So, thank you very much to everybody. It's appreciated as always. It's been fun. I'm going to try and get it sorted out and done now before it turns into 4 hours. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. Not sure about next week. I will let everybody know when it comes to on Monday during the day. I will stick it into the community section. So yeah, keep an eye out for that and see if there's going to be one next week. If not, there will be another one the week after that. But yeah, we'll find out next week if it's going to be. So thank you very much, guys, as always. And we'll see everybody. We'll see everyone. We'll talk to everyone soon. Now I've got to turn it off and see if it was. Last time I did this, well, I didn't get to 0 because apparently it goes a little bit early. So in that case, now I'll do it and I'll do like a half-second delay so I can actually finish the stream on 0. Ready? 3, 2, 1.